which was off the back of the solo snake play that,
Belum,
I
Cok.
mean, he pretty much just ended up waiting to die,
Udah di
right?
pesawat. Bentar lagi.
Absolutely. All right, so we're showing 4 argument on the screen.
Nih.
We've already sort of talked about them and the challenges that
kok
they will be
Pignans
facing.
main?
Let's
Let's
talk
do
about
that.
another team like you mentioned.
Pignan
Tiama,
main, Cuk.
Dua Tachibana.
high expectations.
Pignan
Has
main,
come down to them
Pignan.
over the last week or so.
Kesel saya tuh.
That's what we just
Foraim,
saw
Foraim,
by
Foraim.
Sonics. What
Satu
Iya,
siapa
on
diganti?
paper, this is
Oh,
a
yang
team that should
gemuk
absolutely
diganti
dominate.
siapa tuh?
Lagi repair mobil datang dia bawa skin.
Yeah, in the short
Saking
version of it, yeah.
Ah,
They came out the gate swinging.
Emang nggak sampai?
But again, I hate to
Gue
steal
lupa
the same
pemainnya
phrase
siapa
again.
sih?
It's been a whole lot of nothing since then.
Forever
to be
kah
honest.
yang
There's
ganti?
been
Forever
kind of
ada.
glimmers again, yeah.
Forever XX lu ada. Crazy ada. Gatsby.
Placed 11 kills yesterday. And that's honestly their standout game since then. It's been disappointing.
Gatsby itu dulu nickname-nya Waze anjing, seingat gue.
Find their footing.
Gue lihat di mana tadi?
Early game situations.
Waze kan?
We could argue there's been some funky circles, but as far as I'm concerned,
Apa lagi?
Sonics is a team
Bukan
that
nih,
did
bukan
overcome
nama
some of
setan.
that, adverse
Nickname.
circumstance last year regionally in Pgi.S at least.
Tolong
So maybe they need to play with us
Kesel
some
juga
sort of
lagi.
as we talk about obviously coming to an international stage and things being
Baca nama siapa lo?
forgiving than these regional
Right.
events, but
Forever
they haven't been
Wuzeng.
able to get anything going from the early
Bukan
game.
cu.
And again, this kind of losing people in rotation
Gatsby.
and kind of sitting back and playing as three.
Gatsby dulu nickname-nya Waze waktu itu nih
I
dulu
want to see
nih.
Sonics play with the same
Namanya
confidence. This is a
sendiri dong
confidence team,
berarti.
right? I mean,
Waze, emang ya?
H-Win, like they all
Waze,
thrive on
Waze,
this mind,
Waze,
just like the quiet slayer.
W-I-S-T
So
apa?
I want to see
Wazen.
them kind of revert back.
Itu nama asli.
Marah-marah
so let me ask you
loh.
this.
Kaptennya lo diganti lo. Terus gimana ya ngomong
Trim
woi?
tweeted out, we're just waiting for the last day to
Apa
make it
bosan dia
exciting.
udah menang terus.
They're in that same
Menang.
situation again
Ini
today.
nggak lolos gimana ceritanya?
And you know what? They have a very they have a very strong sub on the bench.
Mr. Taco,
And
Mr. Taco.
he said he's only
Banyak
coming in
orang
for
bisa bilang.
emergencies. Do you think
Itu
that this
paling atas.
issue
Itu paling atas,
is player related, or is it just I don't know,
Nih.
team synchronization? Like, does a sub help in any way, shape, or form? Godspeed.
I don't think they need to sub anyone.
Share dulu dong live gua dong.
Although they haven't been able to get the win, and some of the
Itu
games have
dong.
been disappointed, they've still also had some really impressive games
Sabar.
as well. I mean,
Udah
obviously,
live.
Hawk
Cari
talked
aja
about
linknya.
that second place they got
Udah,
yesterday, but also
setan.
they got that game where they made it to the
Gua mau
top
tidur
4
aja.
when Navi won, when they
That's
fought
true.
through Gex and multiple other teams to come
Hari
off the
tidur.
edge.
Udah mulai, udah lagu,
I
udah
think
mulai
the biggest issue
pasti.
for them is they've just been having a lot of shifts on the edge, and they've been having to work off the edge constantly. And they've been just fighting too much, to be completely honest.
Well, we'll see. Game number 1 of
Tidur
the day
mulu lo.
about to get underway. Will
Dislike
Sonics
lo,
worry
jahat.
round
Wah,
and
parah
will
banget,
teams
cu.
that have struggled finally step up and claim their chicken dinner?
Oh, ngaku lu dari kalian lu udah pasti.
Bounce back after
Kan nggak
a
ngaruh.
loss.
Emang-
The
emang
storylines
dislike
are
banyak ngaruh kah?
building. It is time for
Nggak tahu.
us to get into the
Nggak ngaruh
match
kan?
with the prolific
Nggak boleh,
participation of Pansy and
Yaudah aku dislike
Forsaurus.
sama aku report ya bentar.
Wah,
I mean, he's much
Seksual
nicer
apapun.
than James.
parah banget. Udah nggak ada yang like di dislike loh.
Wow,
Gimana cerita tuh?
what a kindness. Are you
Lah,
there
kok
with me,
ngamuk,
my
gitu
wonderful
loh.
co-caster Poro? Have you muted your mic? You just taken a walk?
Yeah.
Or are we?
Udah,
You're there? You're good? Fantastic. I mean, what an introduction. Is this what North America's normally like? You
Oh,
guys are
pesawatnya
very
agak
nice
jauh
to
nih.
each other.
Ya
It's very nice.
nggak dapet
We're
ini
very
mah Foraim.
kind. It's unfortunate
Oh,
that you
iya.
have to kind of deal
Jauh
with
banget,
that
Cuk.
same,
Oh, di
kind of
apart.
bullying
Yeah.
from
mana
Hilarious
dia?
today. I mean,
Yeah.
that's-
Coming from a ginger as
Itu
well,
malah tetap
you'd think that he'd know better.
Dia hanya
But
pergi.
here we are.
Nah, dia hanya
Well,
cabut.
this game, it is
Karena
survival
jauh
week,
kah?
Of course, we're getting towards the
Jauh,
tail end of the
Cok. Itu
week.
milih
Oh,
tuh.
itu ya.
So,
Ambil best deh.
who's still in this lobby that you feel?
Ya, nggak
should
seru
already
banget
be
loh pesawatnya
through?
loh.
Who already should be out of here? Who should be fine at this point? So I'm seeing some big names
Oh,
still
keburu
in this
chicken
lobby.
loh Forever TDA-nya nih.
Yeah, infantry should have been gone. I mean, infantry should have qualified when they had their 19 kill third place. They've looked so good.
Yeah.
But
Iya,
they
yang perang
have
Novo
just
nih.
kind of kept falling short. I mean, out of all the Chinese teams,
Wah, perang.
it's surprising that
Infantry
we
lawan
haven't seen any
DXG.
Chinese teams make it on yet. But
DXG.
out of all of them, I think
Lawan
infantry is probably performing the
DXG, ya.
best. And
Di
look at
mana?
this
Di
4
rumah
a.m.,
kuning
not
12.
gonna have to deal with DA right off the bat. You'll love to
guess-
see it. Good stuff, DA.
I mean,
Tuh.
look,
Oh, ngambil mobil,
DA
Cok, maling mobil
are
loh.
very
Serah.
strong-willed. We
Wah,
question their
zonya.
and this is the thing, right? Listening to the North American guys going, why
Rumah
will
bullying,
they not relent? I'm
Rumah
like, hey, welcome to
Rumah
watching
bullying.
PA. They are the heartbreak team because you'll see
Gimana
them
zona
do
kayak gini pasti
something
ada bullying di rumah
brilliant
itu.
one game, but the next they will just send it full
Udah
send.
pasti
You don't know what
cu,
sort of DA
pemilik
you're gonna
rumah
get.
dia.
That's why you either love them or hate them. They're very much a
Pemilik rumah
Marmite
gudang
style
itu,
team.
Nah
But
gini
I
dong,
love watching it.
4AM
It does seem as
damai.
they've gone for that
Kayak udah
middle
damai
drop,
dah.
which honestly they've occasionally done when maybe they feel it's
Nggak
that
ada guard
southern
fee-nya, Cuk.
circle that
Nggak ada
could have come
kapten,
in.
Jack.
Iya.
So again, not too surprising. It's not going to change our world, but it does mean we see 4AM with a little more room to work.
Pick nanas. Nanas
Yeah,
babi.
and that's yet another hideous
Yang
first
paling
circle.
kiri ya pick nanas
We've
ya.
been having a lot of these
Udah Jack
terrible
udah
Great
pre-register
circles.
apaan?
great circles.
Beat.
Fun circle for sure.
Pre-register
Absolutely
apaan?
fun
Nggak tahu nih.
circles.
Si
And
oke.
hard shifts and
Ramadan.
things going
Paling oke
where
lah.
nobody's really expecting them to. Nobody's anticipating.
Apa PUBG Mobile kah?
Really interesting for sure.
Ya apa ya?
It's
Kayak
also
gue
been a
kayak
pretty
gue lihat
big burden on your
tulisan-tulisan
IGLs
itu di
and,
mana gue lupa.
trying to
Ini.
plan out what your next
So,
move is
look.
going to be when you have no idea.
It's almost like it's a career.
Ya week 3 pick
It's
M
almost
top
like
3.
PUBG is random. Those circles are brutal.
4M nggak lolos.
It's all about
PUBG
the
Mobile
allocations.
iya.
Whole format
Yang meta apa
thrives
tuh?
in that atmosphere.
Yang baru
It's
itu
all
kan
about
tuh
who's
apa dah?
quick on their feet. I honestly think it highlights some of the big IGLs out
Nih,
here, right?
ikut
Like
ini bro.
it's hard to sometimes
lihat,
see
ini
their
daftar.
work
Ah.
because a good cool hero there. They're just like, oh,
Lihat
they
di
just did
PUBG
well in the
Indo
circle.
official.
Udah
These
dapat
guys,
dari.
man, they've got to be so quick on these
Emang kenapa
rotations. keeping
harus
note of
harus
everything going
pre-register
on, the
kah?
masterminds behind it. So I mean, if this highlights
Kalau
them
pakai
more,
PUBG yang
I'm all
lama
for it.
gimana?
I love more random circles in a way, or
Apaan
a little bit more
Pre-register
volatile circles, I think is the right way
registration
to put it.
untuk
Actually,
iOS segera
super
hadir.
exciting. I do feel for the teams, of course.
Berarti
However,
nanti
my enjoyment comes first.
That's fair. I mean, like, hey, all of our enjoyment should take
Jekzy
prio
malam.
over everything.
kayak tetangga si
And
Pomet.
right now, that is
Pornet.
certainly working out to be the case.
Pomet
Malam
gitu.
kirim.
These circles have
Apaan
made
anjing?
for very
kirim nggak?
entertaining.
Nggak.
I would dare say,
Kirim apa?
never before
Oke.
seen.
Ranked dong.
Kind of
Kalau
early
ranked gak
mid-game
bang?
action
Gak tau.
in
Hei.
this competitive international
Wah.
setting. Riram on the
Sombong
move, and
lu,
they are real
sombong
close to
lu.
CC. here.
Sombong lu.
The rest of the Gex boys.
Jauh banget ini.
Couple of
Mau begal.
cautionary shots, and just to
Gat
touch on
meow.
where that circle is in case
Oh,
you missed
define
it for
too.
a second. I'd say center point is the east
Jauh gimana? Nggak ada
entranceway
ya?
to Quarry, I guess. That sort of area, those fields. There is a touch on the Millie Island. It's a little far south, but it should shift to maybe a
Bit, lu masih
quarry or
live Discord,
fields
Bit?
ending. Where this sort of
Masih.
area is actually pretty
Gue
close to
nonton
center. So this is
sendiri.
a pretty hefty compound to be fighting for. Buram
Wah,
should
ini.
be backing away from this for now.
Yah,
Maybe that split.
Oh,
Oh,
hampir
had
juga.
the idea to back away.
kagak,
but
motor
the
ke situ,
chunks
Cuk.
taken out of the wall. Being
What a
absolutely
shot.
disastrous.
Delay, Cuk.
Yeah, and a
Jekzy.
fantastic
Gua
belter
sama
of a
Jekzy.
shot from
Wah,
IQ500.
disamperin, Cak. Perang dong. Perang
They'll
dong.
clean
Nah,
that one
perang
up
Jack.
pretty quickly as well. And
Telat.
Rudolph, for their part, has looked
cuma
really,
dua yang
really
maju.
good,
Sonic.
in some games, and then just
Sonic join the party.
unfortunate in others.
Malah
They're still
ide.
able to fight. They're still able to scrap, but it seems like they're having a hard time getting everybody to late
Kalau mau
game
nyobain
like they
itu
were
versi dari
finding,
PUBG, kalau yang
so
ini
much
kan udah
success with in
tencet.
earlier
Oh,
weeks here. So hate to see
Jack,
you
detik
going
berapa,
out
Jack?
this early, but we'll see what they are able to put together right now. It's still a little bit
Jack,
of a
detik
struggle. You can see
berapa?
what they're facing here with Godmeow.
detik
A
12,
little bit
13,
split off from the
14.
rest of the boys.
Oke.
Buram,
Lah, God
very
meow.
explosive
Kayak
team.
Fortnite,
Oh,
Everything with them,
Fortnite
just that
anjir.
high explosive
Halo
play.
bang, halo Fauzi,
Which is
halo.
scary in this format, right? Like as you said, sometimes we
halo
see
semua
a
ini.
great run, but it's scary. This format, at least the
Hari-hari
survival
nobar.
portion,
Iya dong.
doesn't lend too well to those hyper
Halo,
aggressive
ada
teams who
Jasa,
might
ada
go for
Fauzi,
kills
ada
and kind of
Leonardo,
earn
ada
their
Jojo.
keep through that method. So they, the adaptation is certainly costing a
suaranya
couple of these
rapi
teams
banget ya pas
a
rotasi.
little bit of that jump start that they could
Bombanya
definitely
nggak
traditionally lean
bisa.
on.
Wah,
4AM, I'd argue, is
ada
one of
Jojo. Jojo pakai berapa akun,
they're
cu? Udah
definitely
fix
one of those
ini.
teams that would be, I'd say, one of the forerunners. A lot of the
Wah,
kind of
GG Gaming,
Chinese
cu.
style that we saw come through was this hyper
Apa lagi
aggression,
salah
this
gua, Jack?
willingness to fight.
Nice Jo, subscribe
ability
semua
to
nggak Jo?
roll with it.
Ngaku
So,
dong.
again, couple big names still left in here. TSM being one of them.
Aman.
I'd love to see them back. I mean, I roll my mind back to Wookie Bookie doing some heroic work, of course, the stand-in with TSM. So I'd love to see him do well. And I'm surprised to see Sonic
God,
here
Mio,
too. If I'm
ketahuan,
honest. After they're
Cuk.
very, quick, come in,
Kemarian.
go out. Tiggleton's gonna be like, hey, look, I'm
Bukan
working on
Fortnite sih,
it,
tapi
alright?
PUBG
I'm
seperti
trying
tahun
here.
2051.
But I am surprised to still see them in this
Gimana
portion
tuh
because they
tahun
went through so
2051?
quickly in their previous
Ah,
weeks.
Tigletin bunuh siapa, Jo? Bro
Yeah,
lagi.
and to be fair, they've gotten close, right? They've
Alah, hari-hari
had
keculik lo,
a
bro
couple
lo.
of good opportunities. Their games have not been bad. they're getting to the late game and they're getting 7th, 8th. They've even got a 2nd and a 4th.
Before I'm lu lihat
There
dari
was
situ
a couple
bro.
of times yesterday where it just felt like they were being a little too cautious, trying to keep people up and just
Kok dia gampang
make
banget
the
ke tengah
position
ya?
a little bit more
Kayak nggak ada
dangerous
halangan
than
kali.
it maybe really was, and maybe kind of sitting back when I would have liked to have kind of see them be a little bit more aggressive and take a little bit higher risk. But at the end of the day, they're still looking good and they're still on the right track. But it's down to the last day, Pansy. They've only got 5 more games to figure this out.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It gets a bit scary
Hari-hari
because
loh.
there is always that chance
Hari-hari diomelin loh.
hardship comes in.
Latar
There are
belakang
ways that
game
this
PUBG
game
di tahun
becomes
2051. Oh.
exponentially tougher. And there's no way you can normally play around that. You
Lu
can still
ngerokok
play
kata
into it,
Morbid.
but it's tough,
Bit
right?
lu
Like,
ngerokok, Bit?
that's where you put
Apa gue
in
yang ngerokok?
hard work, where you say, well, they weren't gifted a circle.
Lu
And
yang
there's nothing to
dirokok.
take away from players that
Anjay.
are, but it's substantially easier to
Gak
play out
ngerokok,
of the
cu.
middle, especially in this
Tapi
format.
dirokok.
So again, it'll be interesting to see how
Dirokok,
teams
GG.
do when it comes to this. As said,
Anjay.
there's not too many more games to play with for now. Keeping eyes on all the teams. AAA, the last one to really work their way across, just over on the Georgia Pole Bridge. Not particularly even in the blue, still relatively okay. The circle still has a lot of availability to it. If you don't want to go for the mad center, you should actually be pretty okay here. Yes, the next one's going to be a little bit trickier because you'll take away the island, which is kind of, a lot less playable land because there's still going to be a big chunk of water in there. But it looks like we have some teams maybe getting a little close by.
Presumably, we'll take out the island. I mean, we've seen some pretty disgusting Circle 2 ships, and I would not at all be surprised at this point to see this thing cut hard to the southeast and just make it just an absolute mad dash over to the military island. I mean, you can see STK and DA are still just kind of hanging out over there. I mean, I think STK may have had intentions of looking over, but where they were seeing DA take the long shots, so now they've just kind of stalled out. So both of our military island teams look like they're content with staying where they're
Udah
at.
gila itu kalau kayak gitu, bro.
And Shoot to Kill at least have the kind of beachfront, I feel, so they could always look for maybe a boat. They could,
hilang loh.
be available if they really require it. Being without a car though at this point is quite tricky. So once they've reached the other island, again, that's under
Itu
the
udah gua kirim.
doesn't go to the
Linknya.
which,
Lu marah-marah
as
lu.
you said, there is a
Linknya
percentage
udah gua
chance.
kirim.
It is very slim, but it's not
Link
zero.
apa?
So we wait and
Piranha.
see.
Film
Other
Piranha.
side of things here, 4 a.m.
Bodoh niat
Again,
lagi.
I'd like to see this new area. This has been all updated. This was the Longwoods sort of. I guess it's like kind of north side of Ferry Pier, that sort of area. And Longwoods before, quite,
Cara
decent cover, but the
penggorengnya,
trees were
cara
quite
goreng.
slender, obviously, and it's a little bit trickier to
Bit
play
lap.
into. Now you've got a little bit
deal
more
mana
playable
ya?
area there. This
Aduh,
actually
belum
could be a
di-send
really
loh, gue pego
viable
loh.
position to hold. And I
Hari-hari
love seeing
kabur.
the kind of. You can see the teams put in their
Beli
homework
PMP
constantly.
sih,
As
Bit.
soon as Aaron
Iya
got
juga.
those big changes, they know everything again. They found all the ditches and divots that work and.
Jo, kode Jo.
Posting them pretty good
PUBG
positions.
update ya?
So we'll have to wait and see. 10 seconds on the circle. So we'll see where this goes.
Oh iya, gue juga udah.
Again, you'd imagine the North Island is you're playing the correct percentages. But as you said, there is a chance weird and wonderful things can.
Mental deh.
Wah,
Wah gila.
STK
Mental
dong.
di bawah.
Wah, STK. Hoki kali. Hoki banget, cu.
Another game like World of Warcraft,
Oke sih.
right? So you go to
Prime duluan.
just get in the boats, right? and just-
Meta
you're
duluan
just
baru
there,
Prime.
right? So naval warfare, I mean,
Forum dibegal.
we have a hillside and a ferry pier.
Udah rumah STK nih enak ya, Bet. Waduh.
Wah langsung ke sini deh.
Oh, dia nggak tahu, Cuk.
It's like they're
Ada tes.
Walah,
is
dibegal.
intentionally choosing the worst possible circle he could possibly get.
Best.
The only
Best
reason
possible.
Akademik.
the only reason the dead center of the circle is right on that cliff edge where STK is hiding right now.
Wah,
This is
MCG.
insane. Look at this bridge.
Walah, Rare kayak
This is
main.
all you.
I'm down. I'm down for this. These are the best teams in the world. Tell me you can't handle a hard circle.
Ya ada
Every
tes.
single player playing this game used to
Oh,
have these
begal, Cuk.
circles, man. Welcome to the games, boys.
Eh,
Here we go.
Orang
This
muter
is
balik.
absolutely brilliant. I love Agents of Chaos, and this is what we're going to get.
Balik lagi.
Multi-circle gaming on
Balik
the
lagi
bridge.
ke Jack.
Woi, muter lagi.
TSG on the other side, but it's
Bimbang,
4
bimbang.
a.m. making the mad run. Now, the problem is they'll probably lose players.
Wah,
and they
crazy-nya
are.
mati.
But, big mans, the
Mati.
newer ones
Eh,
first,
TSG
gonna try to
lanjut.
pick up
Bisa
plays,
cabut.
can at least find a quick knock to
Cabut.
Summer and gets the
Ya,
flush. They're going
mati,
to take
crazy.
position now. But as you can see, Multi-Circle Gaming have vision
Wih,
towards
ditabrak, wih.
up towards the lighthouse. But that lighthouse isn't in. They're just trying to do some damage while they can. Shoot to kill on the pull-up, trying to deal with
Oh,
anyone
mati.
coming
Nggak
their
bisa
way.
masuk.
That was towards Meta, I
Wih.
believe. Already another couple of shots come through, and we've seen a lot from Wicked though. But we're not gonna see much today. Apparently, already Sparking though.
Oh, temennya
Halo
datang.
goes down. Sparking. These boys have some deadly players and some dangerous aim to suit, but shoot to kill, stay alive for now. But in a little spot of bother.
Lah,
Yeah, SDK. I mean, for well, that's not
Pemain basket.
SDK for their part, they had the perfect position. They were fantastic, and as soon as they started,
HP siapa itu? HP-nya
it's like they
Birit,
couldn't really
Cuk.
decide what
Ada
exactly they
nelpon.
wanted to do. They had a 2-2 split, I think, with Luke and Kurt on the cliff side,
Kedengeran,
maybe
kan?
to take shots at people passing. But you have to know that this compound is going to get crashed. I mean,
Selamat.
there's just practically nothing else here. So trying
pakai
to hold
like
this
whip,
compound
Cuk.
with 2 is a little bit dicey, a little bit risky. Looks like they're going to get away with it
Itu di
for
lantai 2
now,
ya?
but
Yang satu
this
rumah
is
sama
this is a
Meta.
fight that's
Yeah.
I got to imagine somebody's going to end up coming up here at some
Lah
point.
emang iya.
Okay, because there's gonna be so much
Dari mana lu,
action,
Bit?
we're gonna jump to that promo code real quick.
Gila.
Guys, get your attention turned right there.
Maskeran,
Pick it
bro.
up. I will get, we'll
Maskeran.
Yoi.
We'll get Poro to do the whole sell you the code thing, next time. But the code is still
Next time.
valid. We'll just get the sell next time. All right.
Itu
I
bukan
promise you.
maskeran,
Make sure you get
Morbid.
that. Get all
Ini
your
apa
goodies. Get
namanya?
it logged in. Okay,
Digebukin
so
siapa
what
lu,
do we
Bit?
have here?
Itu
Essentially, is we jump to a very
masker
late
hidung.
game circle quite early on, which means
HP-nya
more
disuruh
fighting
ditelepon
earlier.
pacar,
Shoot
suruh
to
matiin.
kill,
Enggak,
kind of
bukan.
struggling to maintain this position.
Matiin
The
stream, emang
point
dia
is playing
streaming?
this outer edge is fine, on the assumption you don't have teams all around you, which now there's
berenang
gonna be.
Evan
So they kind of need to speed up this take.
HP Birit
And
bukan
also,
HP Aing.
GX moving into position now. If they get an angle on that wall, they're in trouble.
Dia
And it's
gimana
mad
nabrak
dashes,
Prime.
it's land grabs here. So
Nabrak
we have to
abangnya.
wait and see where this circle compounds to.
Oi,
Or kind
Omar.
of contracts to. I'll imagine it does go to this kind of like cliff edge.
Itu lu
It would
Hansapla
be
sama
the
masker, Bit.
sensible point. But Fairy Pierce still
Nah,
there.
ada yang mau lihat gak, bro? Nih, bro, tuh.
There, so we'll wait and see. 7 seconds
Itu
now.
bukan
We have to wait
masker.
for the next kind of update on this one. LG
Tuh,
Divine
bro,
praying
lihat
it
muka
stays
ngorbit,
north.
bro.
Sonics on the bridge, kind of playing last through. Okay,
Oh
we've
my
still got a fair chunk of Fairy Pier in this.
So imut lu,
This is
geli.
right to the beach.
Kok kayak dikit timnya dah?
Played Medal of Honor, guys. Roll it back. This
Apa
is
masih
about
pada
to
luar,
be
Zon?
really quite similar. We're gonna have a lot of teams towards this. 4am are outside of it. Sonics
Telepon,
are out of
telepon.
it. LGD and Burram, but right now infantry are being held at the
Wah,
foot of
Leori
these
jadi
cliffs.
kodok
Shots
tuh.
being sent down from above.
Bit inget gak yang di
That'll make
tebing
it look so simple, just
Pincen
slicing
bilang
through.
awas ada kodok, awas ada kodok.
And they're about to have company as well. AAA is kind of wrapping around on this in a
Yang lu ngepron cu. Walah jadi ikan.
Players for AAA are no Lorena.
Ikan cupang.
This is I
Ikan
mean, about
cupang,
as close
ikan
to
cupang.
shooting fish in a barrel as you're gonna get. They're not in the barrel, but they're in a little bit of a bay, and that's gonna be good enough. It looks like they'll actually survive for a little bit longer here, but I mean they are.
Wah, gila GG.
Well, yeah, that's just a really good grenade.
Lu juga hari-hari diajak ngomong.
There's been a couple of them.
Mikir, cu. Lagi mikir
Yeah,
lu.
nicely done by Tiamba. Very nice, nicely
Apa komen
handled,
last
and
game?
yeah, a little bit of a bow out for infantry, probably upsetting
Beda
for them and
ini.
frustrating at this point. Shoot to kill now, realizing they've got further problems. They were trying to deal with Meta in front of
lah,
them, and
di-push
now
cuan
they've
si
realized
Villa.
they're not alone. On the outskirts with GEX, we saw them approach.
Kenapa nggak di-push
And
dari tadi
again,
berempat
they
ya?
are
Padahal sendiri
kind of
doang di bawah.
in arguably the center of this landmass. So you'd want Tiamba are still just pushing on forward. GX, I mean, they were just about to deal with maybe shoot to kill, maybe try and hunker down, but no, Tiamba are just pushing to this cliffside.
M2000, M2000 bro.
So they have to do it. The
Very
M200
work
ternyata.
coming out from M200. Tiamba
Salah.
are looking sharp today, but now further fights further afield. This is more towards the inner land area. You've got Petrichor Road working towards a couple of teams in here. Now, I don't think
Slow
it's a
bro,
third party less
tentang
TSM turnaround, but this is still a skillful fight on that circle.
Wih,
bro.
pala 2 kali, cu.
These extremely wild and wheels off circles, you never really know what's going to happen. And a lot of teams, at a certain point, you look at the circle, you're like, well,
Mana
this
nih,
is so
kode belum
out of
muncul
the
nih.
ordinary.
Udah,
There's no
Nyok.
real
Wah,
right or wrong way to play
alah.
it. So let's just send it, let's
Hari-hari
take it,
loh.
let's put it,
Alah, lagi
put it
gua
up to
apa
our
kayaknya
mechanics
Enakan gitu
and
makanya.
just hope
Lagi
to God
Altep.
that the circle kind of gives us a
Lagi
little
wave
bit more
zombie.
at the end.
Fix.
Right now, Petrichor are going to keep trying to push on
Nggak
the
tahu
circle.
di-push
Game
dari samping.
will trade one out.
Oh,
But look
rata.
at Petrichor Gaming
MCG.
cleans it up clean and
Nice try,
fast as you
MCG.
like.
Jadi zombie.
Okay. Okay.
Mana dia di defend gonyok.
I know people will be
Apa yang punya
sad about the
role tuh?
circles being
Parah
certain ways,
aja.
but it forces this to happen. I love seeing these guys under pressure. They're so good. You get to see them having to make the hard choice.
Oh, ada long, ada
How
long.
long? Let's see the timing on that ridge. Does he peek?
Wah,
No,
lihat motor.
He's looking elsewhere. 4am are creeping up this side. I don't know if Long's been able to see this. Has he
Woi.
spotted it yet? I'm not sure. TSM
Mati,
just
Cuk.
caught
Bang,
one of the players
tentang
making the mad
Nobar.
dash around in the blue. Not
Bang
so
BJ.
worried about that. I want to see if 4am can get to the foot of the hill without being
nih?
noticed.
Kok nge-lag
Surely
ya?
Long is going to be looking this way.
Dipersulit kita Nando.
Here I am, sneaky as ever. I see a
Kita,
nade, and
Nando.
hey, look, I always potentially
Mayday, mayday.
consider a kill to come off. Update on the circle coming
Woi,
to you.
Buriram,
Spotted
lu lihat.
now. It looks like they've
Dia
just realized
jadikan.
they have their own problems to deal with. Circle moving into the expected
Ih,
area.
gak ada orang ya?
And STK and Meta right in the middle of it in that compound. It looks like they've declared a peace
Padahal di
here,
kamar
at least
Jack.
a temporary peace
ada
for the
di
time
PC.
being, and that might bring them all the way to the late
Katanya lagi
game.
lemes dia.
Dari kemarin dia sakit ya.
Prime gak bentrok lagi kah?
Zonnya jauh.
Wrapping around, but
Alah,
they're gonna put
makanya
themselves at
nonton.
risk here very shortly to being within.
Anjing dia
PGA's
sakit tapi dia
line
main
of sight.
pagi, cok.
So meanwhile,
Karena
you got
tidur
your-
malam
your mermaids.
dia. Kan tidur malam.
Look at Sweetener Adra.
Kagak gak sih? Kayak gak terlalu malam-malam banget ya sih kemarin.
Malam
You know,
apa?
this is actually
Tidur
not
jam
bad for them.
10 apa dia udah nggak ada anjir di PC.
Gue pagi-pagi belum tidur dia udah live streaming
you're
kan.
right. They get to kind of hit the beach. Now, yeah, they're a little lower on numbers, I'm sure, than they'd like, but it's not terrible. LG Divine with a bit of a mad send. I don't know how much they've been able to scout, because this hill rolls into the compound.
Wah, nabrak.
You don't actually get full vision. I already see predates coming out from
Wah,
TSG
ada
as
hat
well.
kirinya.
Wah,
Nggak tahu
Not sure
dia.
if they've done as much as they'd
What?
like.
Walah,
Now
ditabrak,
there's that-
cu.
oh, no, they've lost one on the pull-up. Levi
Alah,
Levi
kura-kura,
and
kura-kura.
Triumph already making it look so comfortable, and the rest of LG Divine.
Ah,
let's
nabraknya
look
aneh
further
nggak sih?
back. You have in the off-angle Peng, my man with the mullet, the man himself.
Tapi boleh-boleh
Peng.
anjing kata DC.
Hypoc loves his name, so do I. But Triumph and Song are doing what they can here already. Just nice work on the pull-up to kind of get that knock, made it much easier. But Buriram from the beach.
Woi,
you see
Buriram.
that was gonna be a
Oh,
nice
rata.
position,
Sisa
and
Buriram
hey,
tinggal
it's worked
satu.
out pretty well here
Naik
already.
dia. Oh enggak.
Look at this. I mean, TSG has taken so much damage off of this. If anybody was paying attention, I mean, they've got Sonics just uphill from them. Sonics was kind of looking over there, but it looks like they're more concerned with TSM, which
Dislike jadi dua.
rightfully so.
Bro,
Peng might be able to get
iya
some
cu,
of these.
morbid
Yeah,
cu di
Radra's gonna
dislike
get
loh.
pushed
Parah
away.
banget. Tahu nih orang
That's
sini kayak banyak
actually
yang dislike.
gonna be good news for
Ah,
TSG. They might be able to get
ini
both
bukan
of these
for
things
aim ini
off
cu.
while Sonics figures out what to do about
Gak ada gut feed cu.
solo mid. Oh, there goes 4 a.m.
Bye. No,
Bye.
the
Later.
Sonics TSM fight is brewing, right? There's very much that kind of powdered keg about to blow scenario, but there is a hill dividing the two, but it's not much. Now TSM, if they shuffle south, Petrichor Road get a little bit more of a vision. If Sonics go north, TSG could get some more. So it's kind of forcing these two because both of them just want this area. If they could get this without a fight, glorious. About 20 seconds till the circle updates. Not sure why Peng's so upset by Sia,
Lu
but
ikut screen bahan berani nggak?
we have DA still in a pretty good spot, I'd say. And hey, look, the circle being what it is, this should be pretty solid. Great work from Tickleton to
tingkir.
punish Vard as soon as he tried to
Oi.
a couple of
Jack,
shots, apply
Jack,
some pressure
screen
towards
berhadiah.
Sonics. Do they
Apa
push
tuh?
on this? I'm not sure. It looks
Malam
like they're
ini.
trying to
Berhadiah
gather, so they might
efeknya.
be looking for it. And the
Itu buat
flash
apa
to
tuh?
follow as well.
Nggak tahu enggak kayak.
This next circle is going to be huge. Okay, well there you go. TSG, Meta, and STK get to all hang out in their compounds. I think DA, they have the option to stay if
Pemain
they
lu
want
banyak,
to.
Petrichor's in the cars.
I think they might have.
Pemain
lu
it.
banyak,
It
Bang.
looks like they might be pushing right into TSM. So this is going to be TSM
Pemain lu
getting
banyak,
pinched from
Mas.
both sides.
Sore.
See how they
Biasalah.
hold
Ui.
this push off here.
Siapa?
I don't think they
Piranha.
can, Boro. I think
Yeah.
they're done for. Petrichor
tinggal
Road
digigit
moving
Piranha.
in like this is almost cruel.
Tinggal
They saw them
bumbunya
barely
aja.
able to deal with
Kunyuk
Sonics'
kurang
position.
bumbu,
That
cu.
flush that came in towards Vard was unfortunate, but as you said, the pressure there from Petrichor Road pushing the other side.
Peros
just went
orang kali
well,
nih
so
kayaknya.
we can now get ourselves maybe that next step to the circle, secure another area. Miraku
Wih.
just catching the nade. There was no way to
Mati yang punya PUBG.
and it looks like Iro now the last one alive, left to deal with everything. And if anything, he's going to make it tougher
Lama
for
kali
Sonics
ngain
to
loh.
go forward. The flush on towards Tiggleton is a little unfortunate. Look how disconnected from the others Tiggleton was. He was very much on his own there. Which, well, it's a dangerous game to be playing, and it looks like Iro can do the dance as much as he wants. One nade, one molly, a bit of spam, a peak of a ridge. And he's going to be, oh god, almost a hood ornament at that point. As we've already seen what can happen with cars
Wih, kena cu.
on top of them, but there we go. Iro now gone,
Nonton
that's
YouTube berarti,
TSM
Bin.
eliminated. Sonic's
Biasalah.
only left with, I think, 3. They can't
Biasalah.
revive. Tiggleton, he did get flushed. Petrichor Road, though, decent enough position.
Nggak
On
suka
towards
galon.
DA now, on towards
Wah,
TSG,
nabrak mana nih Sonic nih?
Tiamba, so many interesting teams left in the
TSG.
circle.
Ke depan dia ketembak TSG.
I'm
Oi, oi, oi.
confused at why the three, some from
Noblok
Sonics
pero
actually
dia.
pushed away while Tickleton was pushing up. I mean, this is basically their spot. They need to play this spot. They don't have an option unless they want to collectively push TSG's compound. I mean, this
Biasalah.
is it. This is what you have to work with.
Wih,
And they
kenapa
kind
nih
of pulled away
YouTube-ku?
from it while TSG moved up north, and now they're coming back in.
Biasalah.
Petrichor
Karena aku
Road is
bisa
just-
nggak bisa ngain.
I mean, they're
Biasalah.
setting up a firing line.
Biasalah.
They're getting absolutely ripped apart.
Hal tersulit emang ngain, Cuk.
It's just Shrimsy. And you're right,
Wah, Sony.
overwhelmed, I think, between
Tiggleton, singkatan
TSG coming
Tangerang
over,
Selatan.
Petrichor Road,
Pero
and
sih.
the disconnect there with Sonics. I don't mind if technically Tiggleton's
Anak
position was
Tangerang
better,
deh.
but
Yeah,
you
yeah.
have to play as a team.
Lah,
like that.
arah
You know what I
tak.
mean? Like, there was a missed call there. There was a
25
little bit of
kill.
disconnect in maybe communication and choice. But now I'm
Siapa
seeing DA
25
under a
kill?
bit of threat. Tiamba have
Pero.
been slicing through
Yeah.
teams. You know, hot knife, butter, etc. But my man Code Marco
Lah, yang bunuh
looking
Mert.
good. That's the DA you want to see. Sharp,
Push,
but
push.
reserved in the right ways. But now Tiamba on the other side could get a res on this now, unless a mad nade comes through or something super overextends. It could get a bit dangerous because I'm seeing Petrichor Road in the distance here. Are they looking for another set of victims?
Whoa.
Oh, they are. Petrichor Road's on double digits already.
They're on fire right now, and to be fair, this is the game that they
Ah,
have to
STK
play.
tinggal
This is
dua
your
kah?
win condition. Oh no, okay, that circle
Tiga,
again.
deng.
Gonna
Anjing.
fall on the SDK
Ngapain dia
meta
di rumah
compound.
itu
How are
bertiga,
teams
Cuk?
going to get there? How are they going to play around it? There's only so many small little hills and ditches and rocks and trees that you can even play around or even hope to hide behind here. And I got to imagine the vehicles are probably either busted to
Wah,
hell and back by now.
biasalah. Biasalah mati.
Gue udah menawarkan diri
Two
tuh. Dit.
available. Oh, Lynchon going to get spotted up on Matrelius there. Tiamba is a little in trouble here, it looks like.
And I've got to say, for one of these teams, and I'd probably say DA more. I think this. Okay, so I'm gonna be honest. This format forces you occasionally, not all the time, to take the
Ada screen
unfavorable
malam
fight.
ini.
Right?
Nggak-
It's either
nggak
that
tahu.
or you
Kayak
die
nggak ada.
doing
Wih.
nothing. You have to try and take the advantage. And as you saw here with Burr
Di
around, they have to
kamarnya
make a
juga
push,
ada.
but a great
Kena
crossfire
kayak
being held by
main.
Meta.
Anjir.
Now, yes, they lost Sparking, but not Flush, so he'll be picked back up and he'll be just fine. But it
Skema
looks like
game.
Tiamba are making their move.
STK pusing.
And are they okay? So SDK are going to
Ada yang kenok
we have
tahu dia.
moves on both fronts. We have DA under pressure, and now
Maksudnya,
Burr
maksudnya.
around, obviously now dead, giving
Ini
away
nanti
the game.
5
There was
match
a
ya,
knock
apa
coming
6?
in, so maybe
5
Shoot to
ini.
Kill feel this is our best opportunity.
Udah 11
While they're
kan?
trying to
Tinggal
heal up
5
and
lah
take this
dari 5
compound,
tim.
take it away. Metralius just
Oh,
got knocked
Ronaldinho.
by M200. So that's DA now in a bad spot down towards 3 players. A quick trade out from Petrichor Road towards Tiamba, but now you're already seeing this fight begin. You're going to have those smokes coming in. They already know what's going to be happen. Now you have
Woi.
Sparking
Salah,
on top
salah nggak
of 12.
Alah.
Through the hole. Get the flash. We go.
Ini ke kamar lagi ya?
It's rough. Molly's up top.
What's it-
That's actually a great molly. That's really nice. Kind of cutting off the top of that stairwell
Oh,
gives
anjing.
them room. Something that's not nice though is DA.
Alah,
Not
ente
finding anywhere
DA.
to go. They are not pushing. They've sat
Nggak apa-apa,
and
nggak
they
apa-apa,
have become.
Ayo, masih ada air angle selanjutnya.
Who've been super versatile, hyper aggressive to an extent, but in all the right ways. Have
Gila.
swept through them. 14
Yang ayo,
kills. Tiamba looked like the next potential.
15.
Petrichor Road looked phenomenal here, taking the correct
Kill,
fights, the
20,
perfect
25
timing to
kill.
move up, find new positions, and just take the fights that favor them.
Wah, di-push,
Shoot to
bro.
kill, it looks like they're backing away
Di-push
from
gak sih,
that
Bit?
fight. Maybe feeling the meta aren't in the
Oke
position
sih.
to overwhelm yet, they've been able to stabilize well enough. And again, Petrichor Road moving
Kematian.
up. I love this approach.
Ya,
is
20 kill.
Ya,
incredible.
mamunya
Now, they did
diculik.
just lose out on a player though.
20 kill, Jekzy kasih gue
This is
$10.
Mambo on
Ah, kau
day
nyari kill
one,
sih
we saw
lo.
Infantry
Malah
get
mati
19
kau.
kills in the third place. Day 2, we saw Zenith.
Biasa, alah.
22
Alah,
kills.
nggak jadi chicken.
Beres.
Now,
Nggak jadi
we have
chicken.
Chicken. Gua
Petrichor,
udah kasih
16
$10.
kills, 3 up, and they're in
Sama
the
Jekzy.
top 4. Will they take
Gila.
the win, or will it be
Gila.
heartbreak once again for a high kill dominating team?
Udah ini.
One of these
Udah
Meta
crazy,
belum ketemu
crazy
tuh.
Erangel games.
Belum. Wah, berani ngapus pasti
Cuma
dia.
STK.
Let's wait for that circle update. I mean, the
Boom.
compound play.
Wah.
Shocking.
Rumah.
Yeah, they're not going to leave that.
Matero udah.
Now the thing is,
STK
does
ini udah fix gak
one
fix.
bonus right? Metagaming are in one compound, whereas shoot to kill is still split between.
Udah harus ke rumah gak
So
sih?
one gets knocked, things get
Pohon-
scary.
pohon
Things
paling.
get scary. I like
Tadi
that
kan
Luke's
aku bilang
gonna be
apa?
coming over. I'd actually rather if they play in like
Shoot to
a
kill
it
ya?
stops you being completely
Shoot to
wiped
kill
by
ya?
a nade. It allows a little bit of a res
Ini
potential,
siapa
a
Nyuk?
little bit
Kira-kira
of
Nyuk?
wherewithal. It does open up a chance for another team to come in here, but that's not on
Nah,
you to
bukan.
decide
STM.
right now.
Shoot
You
to
are
kill.
playing your own game to survive.
Mhm.
So I want to see who goes for the next end. TSG looking
STG,
like they're ready. They
STG.
might actually run their player on
STG
Hill
nih,
Peng
Nyuk.
potentially on Overwatch, and then just run in with the knock.
STG.
this, I gotta be honest, just
Oh, dia
looking at
kosong,
how
satelitnya
everything's
kosong.
shaping up,
Wah,
this is
kebar nih dia.
Petrichor's game to lose. I mean, the dot is going to finish outside of this compound. You've got TSG crashing onto Meta and STK. Petrichor can just kind of hang out on the hillside. They've got a couple of rocks to hide behind. They got a vehicle. They've got cover. They've got everything in the world that they need to just kind of hang out and wait for this game to come to them.
Now, is there any cover there though?
Meta di WC, cu.
The thing is, you want to be able to lock these players in. Okay, so there's a couple of rocks and bits and pieces to play with. It's not wonderful for Petrichor Road, honestly. This is a bit of an issue. They could easily get isolated.
Alah, kan gue bilang.
He went around
Kill
the
banyak
rock
doang kan.
rather than sending to the side. I don't know where Long was trying to go. Whether it was a compound attempt, but it was slow. It looked like he just missed pulling up on that
Oh,
rock.
bisa TSG nih.
That's a fumble. That could be a game loss right there.
That was a
Tapi
huge
STK zone-nya nggak
mistake
sih?
on Long's part. I mean,
TSG
Mill,
nggak sih, Jack?
you can see is still
STK zone dulu.
his position is right just on the edge. He's
Oh,
got a rock,
Ronaldinho,
so
cu,
is,
di WC.
ice left.
Kayak di kamar.
But really, it's all going to come down
Libera.
to how much damage, how many casualties come out of this compound push.
Wah, ngeliat pistol.
TSG,
Ambil
Meta,
pistol buat apa, Cok?
SDK, it looks like Meta
Dapur
has
tuh,
managed
dapur.
to hold
Ah,
off
WC.
the brunt force of TSG's push as well as the earlier pushes from SDK. I mean, that compound, that building in itself is so difficult to try to push as a threesome, and it looks like TSG not even concerned about them. They're just going to go ahead and play around it and worry more about the Petrichor issue, it looks like.
Pero tetap enak STK. Shoot to kill.
Again, I like shoot to kill's position. I guess
Kalau
they're on
nggak
the
shoot,
most
nggak kill.
southeastern part of the compound, or just the southern part of the compound, which would give them technically a closer step towards a circle. So as it now updates, they can.
Dot's still
I don't say
Oh, udah
necessarily
STK
gatekeep,
udah.
but they'll have the closer lean to it. So the other teams will have to move towards them, aside from the likes
Absolutely.
of Petrichor Road. So that's a nice position for them to be holding. And again, I didn't mind they even considered maybe trying to get Meta while there was a weakness to be had. Obviously, that
High ground apa rooftop itu?
So credit to Meta to stabilize so
Siapa yang
quick.
ngurus?
Siapa yang ngurus?
Absolutely, and
Yang bener
like I said, you
dong
can see his
ngomongnya ah.
position on that rock is still in.
Cu Meta,
And Mill
cu.
will have to move, but he has the
High ground.
US. It's really kind of up to SDK. to make
Ronaldinho,
sure that
cu.
he doesn't get away with that. But SDK, they've got problems of their own to worry about. But the thing is,
Ronaldinho.
nobody really has to do anything yet except for Mill. Mill is the only player that has to move. And it looks like now might be his time
Emang
to
dia
go.
zone,
Iceland's gonna give
si
him some
live itu?
cover.
Zone ya?
We'll
Zone.
see where he
Mepet tuh.
decides to pull up, and it looks like he's going to be fine.
Budidi.
Nobody even going to take a shot at him.
Apa? Budidi.
No, I mean, Petrichor Road are a
Ini
problem
beruang,
for
beruang.
the pretty final team,
Yeah.
I'd imagine at this point.
Beruang main poli.
Unless they give
Anjing.
them away, right? We saw that pull up that looked a little bit, I don't know, misplaced. It maybe as you can see the car in the distance there. I feel they didn't clip the
Ini
rock
langsung
and pull
Twitch
up as
apa
they'd
Discord?
want, but
Di langsung
mistakes
Twitch.
happen. It is what it is. Or maybe there was an intention that I'm not seeing.
Tapi lebih cepat Jepang
Again,
apa
so
katanya?
Petrichor Road are a
Tapi
problem
males
for another day,
bahasanya.
another circle.
Mending
For
ini.
now, as we noted, right? Shoot to kill, hold the line.
Bit.
I actually prefer that TSG are playing the
Bit.
outside of these compounds. They're essentially waiting for Meta to leave.
Bit
They are set up
bengong,
perfectly to
Nyok,
catch
nyok, nyok.
this should go.
Nyok.
TSG kills Meta. Shoot to kill
Wah,
kills
bit bengong,
TSG.
boy.
And then Petrichor
Piranha
Road
hanyuk.
does a bit of
Jadi,
damage on the way out.
jawab
Shoot to
lo,
kill
gue
the
panggil lo.
closest to the
Muka lo
center.
masuk live
They
gue
are the
jadi ya.
closest to the
Yeah.
center point once this moves up. They should be okay
Maskeran.
here. They will last the longest.
Yoi.
Unless Petrichor Road does something impressive, maybe force ends towards the outside of the compound, plays it as such. It looks like they're considering that now. The smoke's coming in now.
Ke rumah Purni Kurti gak sih tuh enak dia? Pintunya
Pintunya
begitu di sana nggak ada wall kan?
I mean, this is their best,
Oh.
best and only.
Wah, nggak bisa
Really,
mundur,
I think
Cok.
SDK is playing this exactly how they need to. Purdy is going to be watching
Oh,
the
TSG
meta
malah
TSG
dari kiri
fight
sih.
loop,
Oh.
and Uncivil will be,
Kena.
or Alo rather, will be trying to take out the
Purdy
Petrichor
Kurti
boys
nggak
as they
sih,
push in, and Purdy will
Kan gua
actually find
bilang.
Peg
Enakan dari
in the
kanan.
process. Will
Boom.
find Mill, and SDK is playing this absolutely flawlessly right now.
Gak enak dari kiri.
Can't ask for
Wah,
anything more. Shoot to kill,
Krabby
playing that
Patty
central
anjing.
point.
Apa Krabby
Absolutely to
Patty?
perfection. Like trying to just post
Wait,
another nade through, hope for the best. You already
Metal.
did well enough with one. Meta have moved up though, and Kurt
Wah,
was
kena,
aware of
Cuk.
the opportunity. And now
Ujung-ujungnya
Pero
that's
tinggal
all
satu,
everyone
Pero
unawares.
tinggal satu.
They've been
Dua,
surprised.
Cok.
And you
Satu
can
kenok,
imagine
satu
Alo
kenok.
or Luke
Oh, iya,
holding that
kena.
cross, but you can see the smokes completely covered their vision.
Santai Jack kan
And now Shoot to Kill
punya
getting
cheat,
some
punya cheat.
pressure back.
Bisa revive
This
dari
is now
jauh.
them getting a little overwhelmed. They
Revive
need to
satu
maintain
detik, TDM.
composure here. Kurt's
Yoi.
pretty dead, I've
I
got to
hear,
say.
Cuk, I
I
hear.
don't think he can get out of that. And now nade's gonna
Chicken
come
nih kayaknya
through.
Aiya.
Utility's
Walah!
being thrown. Meta found their next
Oh.
port of call. Good nade though. Sia's in trouble. And that's completely blind almost. This is just nades into the smoke, doing what they can.
Maju.
That's a dangerous position to be in. Gotta move forward now.
Oh, mati
Halo does
Oh,
manage to
yang
get the
kenok.
flush on one, but that doesn't really
Wih,
matter.
seru banget
He's
ini, Cuk.
all about
Oh, mati.
survival. And
Satu
you can
lawan
see
dua,
it here.
enggak.
Vegetable Road putting up
Wuh!
smoke though, can't
Luke
get too far.
13
Shoot
ini.
to kill on the other side, and now this
Oh,
is a
duluan 2.
2v2. Meta.
Lawan metal.
Shoot to kill.
Wah, manjat. Wah, ke high ground, dapat high ground.
Keep in mind, Meta's
G, high ground sudah susah dah.
Wah, rip tapi ini, Cuk. Dia nembak miss, rip.
Wah, dua-duanya lagi.
They've isolated one. Luke might have just seen it on the peak. Now they know
Ah,
look for a new angle to
dia
play
nggak
with.
zone, Cuk.
Luke 12 flash
Turun
attack.
satu. Wah, lu timing.
That's a great flash, but this one right back
Buta,
at
buta,
him.
buta,
They're
buta.
now slowed down.
Oh,
They're
masih ada
buta
smoke,
juga
Cuk.
nih, dalam rumah. Crossbow
Ronaldinho.
by Halo, but he might need to move soon. Yeah, he has a shuffle out himself. Sparking again up on top. This is danger. Shoot to kill. He's in trouble here. He has to leave.
Aduh, smoke-nya bolong.
Now to the
Woi,
side
Ronaldinho
flank.
potong. Ronaldinho.
Another smoke to be committed. Last
Ditendang
one
nih,
was in the
ditendang.
pockets, and now you can see Shoot to Kill have a bit more
Menendang
cover to
bintang.
play with.
Penendang
But at this
bintang.
point, those smokes are going to keep vision
Woi,
so
jauh
limited.
juga dia ngekernya.
Oh, and Meta's
kalah
eating,
Meta.
Aduh.
eating way too much blue damage here. You
Wah,
can see
dalam smoke semua,
Sparky
Cuk. Seru
is
deh.
taken below half here. I mean, at a certain point, all these boys are going to have to do is send a
Wah.
spray through the cloud here. And you see Alo and Luke both with those barrels ready to go. They got
Luke
full
dapat 2
HP. It's going to come down to who
Wah.
spots who first.
Wah.
Luke's going to spot one. No, Ragnar wins it. And now it's down to Sparky and trade.
Wah, STK, Cuk.
Oh!
STK, kan gue bilang. Ya kebit.
Shoot to
What the
kill. Well
Ah, emang metal.
Push them. You can't say it too many other ways.
Sakit pala,
Meta
Jack,
found
Meta, Jack.
avenues
Iya,
of approach.
iya.
They were on top of the buildings. They were adjusting cover, but Shoot to Kill maintained composure. That's what we said we were looking for there.
Coba
And honestly, what a great game from Shoot to Kill. Holding that compound,
PUBG
so many
Indo.
crash attempts coming towards them, but they maintained that focus.
Apaan?
They get themselves through to the weekend.
I mean, you think about it going all the way back to Circle 1. These guys dropped on Military Island. They did not send it over. They had patience. They realized the kind of weird,
Apalagi.
crazy.
Kalau
wild
dia
circles
nunggu,
we can see.
mati zone
And
tuh
they
dia,
said, you
anjir.
know what?
Siapa?
Alah,
They had
metal,
that
metal.
sense of like,
Loh, pakai Nvidia, Cuk. Dia nyalain, Cuk. Bengah
if
banget.
it cuts north, we can always
Enggak
make
lah.
our way over there. But if it cuts south,
Ya,
if it
Pak.
cuts south, we want to be here.
Tidak.
And they make the call, and it works out perfectly for them.
Mobile ya?
Probably
What a
a bit of a
crazy
sigh of relief for them. Yeah, I mean, you just want to get out of this week. You know, you want to get through, get your chicken dinner, focus on the weekend, and they've done just that. So, credit to Shoot to Kill for a fantastic approach. And it looks like they'll be kind of, you know, focus themselves up for a whole different format. I mean, it's such a change of mentality these teams have to be able to pull off. So again, it looks like they're gonna have to readjust their mentality, and I'm sure, I've got to say it, Poro, DA must be kicking themselves. That was a circle they should have done well in that kind of fell to the wayside.
You know, I mean, that's just how these circles have been playing out, though. I mean, they had good position on the top of the mountain, and they had a great compound at the end of the day. The compound just fell out, and you know, the push from Petrichor, the mechanics that Petrichor was pushing or feeling in this first game here was just absolutely phenomenal stuff. And you know, you got to feel bad for him getting that many kills and putting on that big of a display, and nice of a display, and having it come down to, well, what it come down, what it came down to. So, you know, at the end of the day, I think you got to give credit to STK. You got to give credit for Meta for pulling off that crash early on and just kind of holding it out. And in the end, I mean, it's heartbreaking for Meta that it comes down to that 1v1, but that's PUBG.
That do be PUBG. I mean, I'm so glad you reminded me of Petrichor Road there, because they were wild, right? Like, they looked fantastic, and then just a little bit of a problem towards the end, just, you know, maybe an unfortunate position that just didn't work out for them, but I'm keeping my eyes on them going forward. Who else impressed you from that lobby, Poro? Who else kind of stood out a little bit?
I mean, I really liked the crash from Meta. I think one of the big things is to know, kind of like be able to kind of figure out what the win condition is going to be, and then making that call early on. And Meta, they know it. And, you know, look, nobody likes to have to crash a compound. Nobody wants to have to do that. It sucks. It's awful. It's always going to be really difficult. But they ended up making that call, and you know, got really close in the end.
Alright, well, that's enough from us. Let's head down to an interview. Just get yourselves ready. I hope it's with shoot to kill. I mean, they certainly deserve it after the win. And we'll be jumping back to the desk after that.
선수 나와 있는데요. 인터뷰 바로 나눠볼게요. 승리 축하드립니다.
Congratulations on your win.
네, 이번 주 사실 고전하기도 했는데 지난밤에 어떤 피드백을 주고받고 또 어떤 점을 보완해 왔을까요?
You guys had some rough time past 2 days. How did you guys make it better to win this game?
To be honest, we just got some good circles in that game and stayed pretty calm. And then Alo just clutched up.
솔직히 말씀드리자면 이번은 자기장 운이 좀 많이 좋았던 것 같고요. 마지막에 에일로 선수가 잘 마무리해 준 것 같습니다.
네, 그 마지막에 이제 그 교전 상황을 더 여쭤보고 싶은데 그때 어떤 오더가 오고 갔는지 궁금해요.
Dos keep it.
I want to ask you about the fighting.
Dos kemana lu, Dos?
The last circle. What kind of orders did you guys have?
It was just individual players kind of just doing their own thing, just commenting exactly what they're doing. You know, Luke saying, I'm going to go push left, Alo saying he's playing for the right, so on and so on. And then it just came down to gunfight skills, and Alo's the best close-range fighter in the game, so.
기본적으로 특별한 오더가 있었던 건 아니고 개인들이 자신의 플레이를 어떻게 할 건지, 예를 들면 루크는 왼쪽으로 푸시를 하겠다, 에일로는 오른쪽으로 푸시를 하겠다 등 개인적 플레이에 대한 브리핑만 하면서 마지막에는 결국 이제 피지컬 싸움으로 마무리됐고요. 에일로 선수가 제가 생각하기에는 최고의 근접전 선수라고 생각합니다.
좋습니다. 아까 자기장 운도 말씀하셨는데 개개인의 판단 또한 또 피지컬 또한 훌륭했던 플레이였던 것 같습니다. 사실 지난 파이널에서는 2위 그리고 약간 성적이 떨어져서 6위라는 순위를 기록을 했었어요. 혹시 이번 주 파이널에서 몇 위를 예상하시는지 어떻게 준비하실 건지 궁금합니다.
At the first final, you guys got the second place. At the second final, you guys came in with 6th place. For this third final, what place you guys want to take?
We always want first. We think they're the best team in the world, so we're going to go for first.
가장 뛰어난 팀이라고 생각하는 만큼
Temannya Piranha
반드시 우승.
Piranha daw.
와우. 네, 슈트킬의 화려한 플레이 기대해 보도록 하겠습니다. 오늘 인터뷰 정말 감사드리고요. 승리 다시 한번 축하드릴게요.
Congratulations on your win again, and I hope you win the finals.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
네, 이렇게 해서 퍼디커티 선수와
enggak.
나왔고요. 저희는
You heard her. She hopes
Bit lu
to
megang saya,
win the
Bit.
final. Little NA bias spreading internationally right now. Let's take a look at who's made it through. Right? It is. You can't help it. SDK gets to the left side and makes yet another team. Only 4 spots left for the weekly final. It will be K7 stepping in to the docket, playing with the 16 for the last 4 spots. Should be pretty good. That puts 3 NA teams. Basically, guys, it's an NA Korea European final right now. Let's see how it changes. But right now, let's break down the path to victory for STK. Hi, Pop.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are going to look at this. Some funky circles, obviously. I mean, this right here, this kind of fight that first broke out when the pull-up happened, right? Alo finding both of those kills actually became pretty influential on the way the game played out, because STK at that point, they made they took the option to survive, right? Basically played the long game on that. Gave Meta one half of the compound and were able to kind of defend any pull-ups onto that. And to be honest with you, other than kind of a botched third-party attempt pushing into the barn, I think they made the right decisions, right? It got squeaky bum time at the end there. The fact that it came down to a 1v1 in smokes, I'm not going to lie. But yeah, that's how you play the long game in weekly survival.
True, and fortunately for them, they had the close range god, as we used to call him in the NPL. I mean, they had Alo. Alo's been so phenomenal in this event, and just events of the past for SDK.
Piranha,
he's a hell of a
Doski,
player, and he's just a great dude, but he really clutched it up, as Kurt
Doski
said.
punya Piranha.
For SDK, because it was 1-1 at the end, and arguably that could have gone either way. There was a lot of smokes, it got confusing, but I mean, even here,
Bohong, nggak masuk, Cuk.
SDK initially we were questioning.
Oh iya, ada.
Lah
Lah kok ada?
They played it patient.
Lah kok GoPay?
I mean, also played this really well. Let's kind of give our hats off to them. They were fragging.
Kirim ulang, Cuk. Udah, nggak bisa.
Clear out multiple teams, crashing their confidence well, but in the end, it was us.
Ini lagi, Jek. Ini lagi.
Wah, lu
Erlang. Yes.
Ada lagi nih. The other one as well, again, I was going to say, it would be crazy not to mention Petrichor Road, right? Yeah. What a game from them. I mean, everything from taking the high ground.
Shoot to kill, bro.
It was just insane to see them kind of create that much space for themselves, but then remain proactive after creating that space. It's like they dealt with the first team, but then 4 AM tried to catch the top of the hill. Then the
Parah,
circle kind of
tendang
shifted
parah.
over to the north side of that. Then
punya
there's
role
one
ya.
anchor
Apa
up
lu
on the
mana-mana?
rooftop.
Yeah.
They created all
sabar.
this space to go and take a clean
Lah.
fight onto TSM as a third
sabar lah.
party, but
Dos facecam
also
dong,
they were
Dos.
maintaining a lot of pressure onto Sonic, so they
Facecam.
it was like
Facecam dulu
poetry
baru
in motion.
sahabat.
They literally bodied two teams like back into the blue, but well against the blue.
Ah, nice trick. Facecam dulu
Welcome
dong,
back to the
facecam, bro.
desk. My name's Top. It's about Hypoc and Godspeed. You just
Facecam
saw the
dulu,
highlights
baru
from match
sahabat.
1 where STK came out on top, and in that
Buruan nggak?
moment,
Tuh.
what did you
Jangan sampai
call
gue
it?
nonton
Squeaky
Morbid nih.
bum time, Hypoc, I believe, is that was a thing. So Hypoc
believe
calls it
so,
squeaky bum time. I remember Luke 12 crawling through the smoke, and I don't remember which you said it. You go, oh, Luke 12 finishes here, and
Luke
then he died.
12.
And then there was this
And then he-
intense 1 versus 2 moment where SDK almost lost it. And if they had Godspeed, we could have perhaps put that entire defeat at the feet of Uncivil, not
Jek,
pushing
let's
down
streaming
from the
gua, Jek.
top floor.
Di mana?
I mean, it
Tadi
could be
gini ya.
that. It could also have been,
Huh?
you know, Alo just not getting the clutch. If they lost that game, I might have just got up and just walked off the cast because that we were so invested in that
Dash.
win for them. But again, meta was out of control. And I do want to touch on Petrichor as well as Pocket mentioned. I absolutely love
Oi.
watching that team play. I mean, it is
Yeah.
indeed poetry
Apa?
in motion,
Circle.
especially with how they
Circle?
they're so greedy
Lihat tuh.
sometimes in their spread around the
Di
edge of
mana?
the circle too, but it often works out in their favor because they get so much information that way. And for lack of a better term, I mean, this team is
Iya, lihat. Kan gue nonton.
bloodthirsty. Exlef, Mamu, Mill, Long. I mean,
Dil,
these
Dil, emang
players
circle
are
gini tadi, Dil?
just so impressive.
Apa?
And you can see it on
Itu-
screen
itu tadi
right there
circle
as
tadi,
you
Bit.
see two
Ya.
of the members of Petrichor Road coming out at 8 and
gua baru
6. A
datang,
bit
Bit.
of a heartbreaker, a 17 kill game, Hypoc, and not being able to get above 3rd place. But that just was a symptom
Tuh, lihat nggak?
of that compound was absolutely jam-packed
Halo.
with people looking for kills.
1300 damage, cu.
All in there at the very end, fighting for space.
13, well, basically
Dash.
1400 damage
Apa?
in a game.
absurd.
Wow.
Is that the most so far this season?
That's
Five
gotta be.
amazing.
Circle
It's
kayak
gotta be.
STK ya kemarin ya.
But yeah, I mean, all three guys here from
Yeah.
Petrichor Road obviously topping the down, which is no
Iya,
surprise,
kemarin
really. Like I said, that's
Iya,
probably the
kemarin
most
apa lu?
proactive we've seen any team
Apa?
in the game. I mean,
Yang
other than
fan box
yesterday.
ya sih chicken.
Apa?
That was just like
Ngepick apa?
as soon as they had that
Belum,
one
belum.
shift
Tunggu
in,
kelar aja.
they flip
Oh,
on the
gitu,
switch,
gitu.
they knew where they had to
Gitu,
go,
gitu.
and I mean the shutdown on DA out in the open as well. The way they spread out there, obviously, and again, it's nothing but rocks and trees to
Bukan
play on
kita
the side
bentar
of that
ketemu
hill.
TST juga
But
ah.
just the amount of
Sendiri
control
kan
garnered just by remaining as active
Belum
as they
ketemu
were
DH dia.
was impressive to see.
Iya.
Ya Kendari.
I'm getting information from CD6.
Kan ini.
A K7 player had a little bit more, but that said, still a very, very
Tampun-tampun
impressive
klip.
score. And I do want to also point this out. At the beginning, we talked about there are no Chinese teams or Chinese regional teams represented yet in the weekly final. They were definitely trying though. We saw Petrichor, Triumphant Song, Tiamba, all in the top 5, putting up a big statement. And now K7 will be joining the fray. Let's take a second and talk about K7 Esports. Is this another team, Ibok, kind of like Divine, where you're like, what's the story on them?
I mean, they made it through to the first wiki finals. Again,
Yeah.
that's about all we've seen from them, to be honest with you. Other than that, it's they've had one top 3 placing, from what I can see, which is just nothing special. I mean, again, the seeding games didn't go particularly well for them, which is why we're obviously seeing them come in so late here to the week 3 survival series. But I mean, other than Zanan, it's been difficult to really celebrate any success on this roster on an individual basis, because as a team, they've just not met the mark, to be honest.
Agreed.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Ketawa lo.
tough coming out of Chinese Taipei, a bit of a smaller region,
Lihat nanti ini, bro.
arguably less
Nggak mau.
competitive. And while they did win their regional Masters Cup, that's
Lah,
tough.
Pgi.S jadi infanteri ini
Is it,
gambar.
you've been in this situation because people talk about North America. It's not as strong a region as some of the others. Is there a challenge when you show up at international play, not having the background as
Deal.
competitive?
Apa?
I am not quite
Jack,
sure.
dia
Some
gua kirim.
people may feel that way, but you also get the advantage
yang
of
di kanan
being
tuh.
technically an underdog, right? When you go into
Kanan.
an event and everyone thinks that
Yeah.
you're not that
Itu yang
strong or
gua
you're
pilihin
from a
itu.
weak region, yada yada yada. I mean, you end up making some pretty cool
Yang
plays and
rip.
surprise some people, and I think
Lah,
ultimately
yang
that
rip.
is
Pas urip.
what would be great for them to do.
Gua
Unfortunately, we
capek deh
haven't
bro
seen.
itu bro. Kalau mau lu.
Absolutely.
Damn, damn.
So no, I was just looking at I was saying Zidane's had some great individual performances. It's actually him that holds the most damage.
Oh, lagu
in this
beat,
event,
lagu.
and it's
Udah
3
mulai.
more damage than
Oi.
Left just got.
Oh,
well, he's got the most damage in the event. He's now got a spot in this thing to try and make their way to the weekly final. Will K7 rise up, or will a Chinese regional team finally secure the first weekly final spot for their fans? We are about to find out as we kick off game number 2 with the perspicuous pronouncements of Porosaurus and Pande.
Gak jelas.
It is a neat throw every time. I love it. This man puts in work. Thank you very much. Guys on the desk. I mean,
The Thor's just sitting next to him, looking for all the words he can come up, adjectives that start with P.
he's done his homework. He's done his homework, and hopefully these teams have as well. Starting in the south, heading towards the North Plain Path. Pgi.S here, brought to you by Intel, where the gaming happened. Just a quick reminder, if you've managed to forget, but Miramar, a little bit of a switch up, right? New look, new map. Get yourself fresh into this one. We've got a couple more teams now looking quite likely. Petrichor Road looked so deadly there. Is this going to be tough to maybe keep that sort of level of performance up? I mean, it was certainly a huge up point for them. But to do that consistently
Triple A
has got to
ngelutnya
be
nih.
so tricky now.
Oh, mati kau
It
dibunuh
really
kau.
does. I mean, and especially after the heartbreak of doing that well and not ending up finishing in first just because the way the circle ended up working. But the other teams that we've seen that have performed that highly, and as far as kills go, I mean, Infantry got their 19 kills in the last game of the day. Zenith got theirs and they got a win. So we haven't really seen what can happen when a team does that well and then still kind of has to move on, to play with the rest of the day. So I'm interested to see if Petrichor can use that as kind of a snowball and start pushing there, as Loxlock will use every last one of those 765 bullets he picked up there.
Okay, so now we look across the board. Coming into this, a new team comes to join the fray. K7 now. Time to see what they can do. Now they've managed to get themselves. We saw Zinan doing some pretty, filthy work before. Some good damage coming out from him. Loxlock certainly garnered some attention as well. So not a team to be underestimated, but not a great deal of time to do the damage while they can. Of course, the way the format works, when a team goes through, a new one gets thrown into the mix. So it's all about trying to get there as quick as you can, get as many games played, give yourself the best chance possible. Now, once the circle's hit, which it has, it's more looking like a northeast game. Nothing too crazy, no islands, no prison, no wildness yet. I mean, look, we've seen mad things happen on this. Lost Leona's got dabbled with as well, which is a very rare circle, and it became even more commonplace. Certainly caught out a couple of teams. I'm glad we get to look back at Petrichor. Where are they starting out in this one?
Looks like they are
Lihat nggak, Dik? Foto tadi,
hanging
Dik.
out south of Los Leones. They do have a lot of company around them. The TSG, Tiamba, and DXG all around there, and Meta looting up in Los Leones itself. Meanwhile, you got infantry kind of spread around Impala area. So anyway they decide to rotate is most likely going to be we're going to get close to somebody at some point. But we'll just have to see what they decide to do. The entire south side of that circle right now, pretty free and clear. But that's just for now. I mean, there's so many that have to make their way in, and it's really a gamble right now. Where do you think Circle 2 is going to go? And the gambling has just been so rough with these circles. The way the hardships have been working out lately.
As said, playing the percentages gives you the best shot, but it doesn't ensure the victory, which I think is the main thing with the current, like the updated circles we're seeing, right? It's certainly showing that something's changing in the background. The algorithm's looking a little different for sure, but you play your best circle. You try and play the best circle that's available to you, the best position that you could potentially have. Looking towards the center of the circle. You've got TSM, Buram, and probably 4AM. I'd say those three are probably in the best positions to begin with. So we get to have a little check-in, see what they're up to.
Yep, you can see 4AM kind of leaving Hacienda, creeping over towards Buriram territory. Buriram just peacocking a little bit, letting them know, hey, we're here. 4AM says, okay, we'll just go down a little bit further to the south, work the road, it's fine. And meanwhile, Sonics after leaving Picado, working their way into Graveyard. It doesn't look like anybody's really around them. I mean, DA just off to the south, but DA, as long as they're paying attention, should see this and they'll either avoid it or they'll try to push right into it. Hell, I don't know what DA will decide to do at this point. They're likely to do anything.
What defeat?
The volatility of DA is always there, and I mean, I still am a big. I love their play because purely as a spectator, it's so wild. You don't know what sort of DA you're gonna get. Is it the team that can pick up a win, make it look so simple, frag out, or do you get the team that just makes these crazy choices? You never know, and it's fun. I mean, look, I wouldn't want to be putting my points towards them because that's where it gets a little scary, right? But but they're an exciting team to watch. Miraku doing his best to get some pull-ups in, get those chin-ups, get that workout going. There it is, the forearm strength building here for Miraku. But you're right, every team in the South is working their way in. I don't think we've seen any loss of life yet. Not getting caught on rotation. Come on.
The observer's so obsessed with Miraku right now.
Here we go. Nice. Have you ever met those dudes who are into just like super into rock climbing? This is it. You know, is it bouldering or whatever? It just becomes their personality. That's Miraku right now.
Baby powder on everything. You know, dust up to like the
bilang
chalk
anak
dust
baru
or
saya.
whatever.
Yang penting tahu turun kan.
He's
Anak bawang.
he's gonna get a lot of information.
Lima tahun
Took him a little bit to get up there. Meanwhile,
Siapa
Savior
tuh Jack yang
doesn't look like he has the information he would like. I think he may have his spidey senses tingling right now. He is definitely
Wah,
oh no, Pignons.
Wah, nge-pick sampai nemu masa depan anjing.
Sweet Prince.
Yeah, look, 4am having to work with the stand-in. It's not going to be easy. Do the best they can with an unfortunate circumstance, but it's how it's how it happens. Now, K7 of course are going to be enamored with the idea of taking the space. They'd love it for now. H-Win just going to pop some shots down, but
Alah, Pignan, emang God fee, wajib ada God fee,
really equate to prizes, but it will open up some space with you. So 4am might have to fall away from this wider split that they were going for. It's a dangerous choice they made. They went for like a 2-1-1, I guess you could say. It can happen.
Yeah, and credit to K7 for kind of realizing that and doing their homework, and getting in, having Savior creep up to that. I mean, look what they get for that push. They get a great compound just off center. I mean, they're absolutely laughing right now. And meanwhile, 4am loses one, and they can hold the 2-1. I mean, they're still in a good spot, but K7 definitely coming out of the winner at the end of that one. Ira. Hope he's as good at rock climbing as Miraku.
Iro's great at a lot of things. I don't know if I'd say rock climbing is his specialty, but maybe I haven't been doing my homework. Maybe I haven't watched enough tape. Maybe that's his secret skill. But for now, I said we haven't seen we haven't seen too many teams under pressure right now. The circle's very welcoming. There's a lot of room. It's not too indicative of an ending either. There's plenty of space in here that we've seen common endings, but because of what it feels like with the kind of the way the circle moves at the moment does seem a little different. So again, it's very hard to tell from our previous experiences, like, oh, well, this circle normally indicates this. Even the teams are struggling in certain areas. Now, Sonics, I'd love to see them go through. They're a team that I don't know where to put yet. I feel like they're a big North American hope that when I first got to see them, I barely got to see them because they literally qualified in the first game I got to watch them play in, but then they kind of struggled when it came to the weekend, right? So it was like, okay, well, I need to learn more about these guys. Who are they?
I mean, they're extremely snowbally. I mean, and I think the desk hit the nail on the head earlier when they said that they're a confidence-driven team. I mean, that team is driven by swagger. I mean, that is 100% how they perform when they're really feeling themselves, when they're really have that kind of we're the best team in the lobby kind of arrogance. Boy, they are just something else, and they are a scary team to have to deal with. But right now, I mean, it feels like they're more business-like, which is not you know, a terrible thing, but it's just that's not when I've seen Sonics play their best. When I've seen Sonics play their best is when the entirety of chat hates them because they are talking so much ass. that's the Sonics that performed really well.
You need a little bit of that, right? You need a little bit of that confidence, a little bit of that cockiness, that bravado. It can
Triple A mau
really
ngapain
spur
dia,
on the
weh?
team, and it translates to gameplay. I think it's something that I really liked about
Ke
FaZe when
atas.
it goes well, right? Like, I love that sort of like flary style, that fiery approach. Okay, different server
Leong tim
coming in.
mana
That's
bang?
going
Gak
to
ada
now cause a
Leong,
couple
bro.
of problems. Now, there's a good amount of
Ada
avenues of
D4,
approach here. There's some decent
ND1.
rotations available, but this is going to be a
Fix yang
north-south
chicken
divide.
chicken.
That road from east to west is
Fix
going to
doh.
cut this lobby in half, and I don't
Norek
know where
gue,
this
lu
ends
tahu kan
now.
nama nomor HP.
This is one of those circles that we've seen quite a bit towards the end of the PCS rotation. I guess is the best way to describe it. We saw at least in North America, we saw the PCS3, these El Azahar circles that are split right down the middle by that big canyon down the road. And it basically, you're playing that 50-50 shot. Is it going to go north or is it going to go south? Well, right now, all of our teams are on the south. All the positions that they've spotted as to what their second rotation might be are all hanging out to the south. So you see, there's only a couple of teams that are really starting to consider heading towards the north, LG Divine being one. And now you see GEX, K7, 4 a.m. might be sending it there as well. But everybody else still kind of hanging out towards that southern part.
And as it is midday here in Europe, of course, the bells are tolling. Hopefully not for DA this time. Already Code Marco trying to hit that drive-by, but it's going to be a careful one, or maybe not. Maybe a little bit more dangerous. You've got TSM over
Rotasi
here.
semua, cok.
Sonics as well, having a little bit of a scrap of their own. And look at the amount of teams now clashing on the way to that next compound of choice. Mert with a bit of an uncomfortable pull around. Oh, no, smash. Oh, keep the vehicle grounded. He does. Can he pick up his buddy? Mert, get in. We're going. And it looks like Code Marco will do the same. Quick little pickup.
Oh,
that is very
Apa?
dangerous. Okay, we already have a couple of casualties now coming through. This is those mad land grabs, right? That southern, I guess, wave that came through is now going to be tricky for a couple of teams. I prefer maybe the safer approach of going on those longer rotations, if you could, that is, and head towards the north side. But DA continue their mad journey forward, and it looks like they've, I don't say made it, but they're getting there. They're en route, where some teams struggling to get to that next position. Great nades coming out, getting the flushes.
Wah, nggak niat
MCG
bom ya,
looking like they're
kayak
in all
bomnya Adil,
kinds
cok.
of trouble here.
There we go. Takes his time with that second one. Oh no, it still falls short.
Oi,
And MCG
CSGO.
still managing to stay alive somehow because Meta just not hitting this utility that should be, for all intents and purposes, fairly easy utility to hit there. That should have been a wipe, but you know what? It doesn't really matter. Kills don't matter. They're going to get back in their vehicles. They're going to get on the roll.
Back to you.
And we
Kode, kunyuk, kunyuk. Nyuk. Kode.
Codes. Here's your coupon for
Tuh, tinggal kopas.
esports voting coupons. So this will give you the opportunity to vote for a team. You get one of these per week. Once we get to the weekly finals, these codes will be good for 1,000 EP apiece. So make sure that you keep on watching, collect and get your free stuff.
I don't know if it's the
semua emang
accent
bisa.
or just the conviction. Something about the way you sell those coupons just, it gets me going. It gets the people going. I'm one of them. I love a bit of it. And you know what? DA, great
You have already
so far. Good
participated.
adjustment. Circle update in a couple of seconds. We'll see who gets the kind of slice of the pie here. Is it north-south? Okay, a little more southern than it is northern, but both still somewhat in play. But look, Poro, we know this. This is where you're going to lose teams now. 16 teams aren't making it to the next circle. This is where there's going to be a lot of loss of life here. There is not enough area to be playable, especially in that southern side for all these teams.
There's to be fair, there's still some good spots left available that you can kind of work to, especially now that we're kind of seeing some of our teams that were in the little 2-2 splits start to pull back together. Bury Rom's got one. TSM looks like they're going to crash back together. The Valley is still pretty much open and available. I mean, Tiamba, the only team really to take a position in the Valley now.
Lucu lu bang, lucu kenapa?
K7 could possibly backfill this. AAA could backfill this.
Belum seru nih, belum peperangan nih.
Considering that right as we're speaking here, as they are hanging out on that western side of the circle.
Oh bro, udah ngumpul bro.
Losing tires but not players. That's not too bad.
Wah, kematian Triple A.
compound. The spray is pretty rough from Xenon, but I mean, it was at a fair bit of range. I mean, the barrel isn't meant to be good on all occasion, but it will tell you it is. Jay is just flies past. Look, that's right there.
Yeah.
Sprays in, gorgeous work. That's how you do it with the barrel. Making it look so simple, but another pull-up here. Svit's gonna try and make his way around. Look again.
Berkali.
Down.
Apa shotanya nih? Pas Rabes ya.
Oh, gems ini bro.
Finally, there's a bit of damage being done. Savior's gone.
Woi.
Woi. Now AAA are putting up.
Wah.
See him. He did not see him.
Emang boboho.
Ya Allah.
Oh, Gems. Gems could have got the 3
Apa?
piece there, but he was just tunneled down. I don't know if he was maybe blinded
Ya,
by a flashbang or
harusnya
something. I don't
menang
know what
anjir.
happened there, but K7 ends up winning it off of the hands of Xenon. They'll get both of these reses up, and it does not look like anybody is going to be pressuring them anytime soon here at 4 a.m. Kind of looking down in that direction, but no, K7 comes out clean. How do you like that?
Four players will be able to be alive as well. None of those players got flushed, which is crazy to me. Okay. You're right, yeah, they'll be back on their feet, no problem. Now, who else is still kind of under the gun here? It's like GX are working their way in. They should be okay. There's a little bit of a kind of divot they can go towards. It looks like already they've got a little bit of a pull-up spot in mind, so they should be pretty okay. I don't think anyone's going to move in too quickly on that. K7 are still on the outskirts, I guess, but I don't think they're going to have any too much direct threat. Most teams should be okay here.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of what I was talking about before. There's just the way the terrain works around this little area is there's so many little nooks and crannies and divots and dives and hills that you can work with and hide behind that, you know, you can even fit a full 4-man squad around. That, you know, it's not too terribly surprising to see us get to this point with 57 still up. That is a circle. Okay. That's going to open things up once again because we still have not committed to either a north or south finish on this. And now Tiamba is looking like geniuses for taking that gas station low.
And it's a tricky one to crash too. They're going to make it hard work. It looks like Meta's considering a little something, but feeling maybe against that. Already LG Divine getting their fight going, but LG Divine need to work into this circle, so they can't really stray away from this. They really want to get these players gone so they can start making their way in. MCG putting up a bit of a battle themselves, but there's that nade we saw being taken.
Discord.
Yeah.
Discord gua. Delay.
4 a.m. has now crept up and
apanya?
Conceivably
suaranya.
Either
Morbid cu.
Morbid yang lab.
Wow.
This is still a full 3-way fight. You have to remember we also have DA here that can get involved in any time. Perfectly content hanging out on that northeastern side. We'll see if they pick up something with just a crazy little sight here. But Divine, really the only one that's really kind of behind the gun here. They've got to figure out something to do to get inside this circle.
I mean, we can look at the north and see that. The south isn't looking pretty either. Obviously, the north has a little less room to play with.
Headshot too, one tap.
Very precise. That SLR. Just bouncing it towards Turtle. MG Divine still finding their way forward. It's pick your poison. There is not a particularly great choice for them either. Maybe a vehicle still in play. Might need to be kind of depending on that a little more. Try and maybe make a mad dash. But crazy on the deeper angle here is kind of
Yogi?
It's very hard for them to navigate around him. Even in a vehicle, he'll get some shots for sure.
And as you mentioned, I mean, the same kind of situation going on the south side right now. It looked like it might be Sonics. Sonics end up finding a way to the edge at least. Now it's looking like it might be Petrichor, as Petrichor is taking a little bit too long to figure out what they want to do, and they're going to have to make their way in between Sonics and TSG. But back up north here, the fight between GEX and Divine. Turtle will get spotted out, and he's going to go down to Yan Lee. That's 2 down now for Divine, although it does look like they do get the res onto Levi's. The grenade will come out, I believe.
Boom.
Yes, it is.
Oh, the healing.
Going to be just a
Mati.
hair too late.
Hah?
But June is going
Phase
to be the
3 tuh,
backboard
berarti
for a
fix
very
phase.
nice grenade. And now this
Itu
could
depan
be the
muka
symbol
darah
for GEX to
setengah
start
full
pushing.
ini. Ala ente
Yeah, it looks
Divine.
like the end. The LG Divine is
Kenapa di HP?
4 AM. GX. There was no way in. They just kept closing that space down. Now, the problem for GX is they've got themselves surrounded. Keep your eyes on DA. Now, if Smash pushes this, it would be a little bit on his own. He's a little disconnected from the rest of the gang in this kind of wider 2-2 split. And it looks like he thought better of that. Maybe considering, well, next circle, maybe make sure we're in the right position to move forward. We saw TSM looking for their way in as well. They've had a tough time on this. Okay. That's a pretty open hillside. I think we've seen a similar end.
Oh, mati Huwin. Huwin mati bentar lagi.
We're seeing Wookie struggling quite literally to
Nah,
get
kan.
into this circle.
Mime yang kenok. Alah.
He's going to end up going down to the blue here. And then
Ya, ketahuan.
meanwhile, it looks like they're going to find a nice little angle onto Sonics, but haven't been able to flush out that kill. And it looks like they're just going to go ahead and pull away from him right now. As we remember, kills don't matter. We got to get into that circle. We've got to focus up on what our best win condition is. Pushing to the south to deal with Sonics is just going to be a waste of time for them. They've
Besok gue bawain.
how to deal with TSM, who's just off to the north. I mean, there's a number of teams just off to their north.
Matiin
Really.
4AM,
They've
Cuk.
got to figure out where they're going to go in the
Wih.
circle. 4 AM just going to be, oh my god. That is just a brutal roll up right there onto Evil Lee.
Diem aja lo, Summer lo.
Goes down, but 4AM have moved away from the vehicles.
Wih,
maybe
anjing.
Distracted by
Crazy,
K7
emang
and
crazy,
might be
Cuk.
as such. K7, we're gonna have to force their way in towards this. Zanan's still there. Nade comes back out. That's a great
kena
nade.
Leo,
There's a better
anjir.
shot already coming across the way from Leo. SKS doing the damage there, and then it just trickles away down the hillside. Now Crazy gonna at least get that flush going, but again, the kills don't really matter. Zanan's gonna be playing that little diction Crazy. Look, we've seen the nades from 4AM. We don't need a reminder. But now at this moment,
Sabar,
GX
anjing.
need to figure out how they want to get towards the south. It's more likely to end that way, so they're gonna have to maybe get in their vehicle and consider their next option.
Let's see where they decide to go. You can see Buriram, the struggle of trying to figure out who to fight with, how to get into this circle, and Sonics is actually going to be finding TSG as well, as they keep a pretty wide split on the southern side here. They've lost one. Shrimzy is down
Wih.
as well, and oh no,
Hari
TSM's
hari
bacon.
dibakar.
Oh dear.
Crispy. That's
Well done.
Mm.
And not in the terminology of well played, but they're actually well done. Cooked.
Yes.
It's cooking.
Yep.
Let me explain it a little bit further so that it makes more sense. Either way, Sonics lose another one in Shrimzy. They're going to keep 2 alive. Buriram does manage to keep 4 up as TSG down to just Shandian. He's going to see if he can maybe take a few of DXG with him. DXG wrapping around.
Wah, buta selamanya.
Going. It looks like they've lost track of him now. Neil, Teeth looking.
Wah, timing.
Flashes keep going. They're just going to keep letting him push. Turn
Ya,
on
mati
it.
zone.
There we go. Okay.
All right, now I want to start looking at the power players here. In about 20 seconds on the next circle update, it's going to be quite divisive, I'd say. I think you start seeing now who's in the power spot when it comes to
Ngapain dia
this.
nembak, anjir?
Towards the east, you still have DA, Tiamba. Towards the north, infantry, great compound, keep in mind, in the
ketahuan.
southeast. But if that circle does go towards, I don't know what, the west, who gets the position? It's Buriram,
Oh,
maybe?
bro,
Okay,
bro.
Buriram, I guess, are pretty strong in this.
Yeah, if Buriram can figure out what to do about 4 AM, Summer's just hiding. I mean, he's just trying to stay alive. Buriram should
bakar.
finish him off pretty easily here. As it looks like all the Molotovs are coming in. That grenade might be the one to
Mati.
do it.
Wih.
Oh, that's gonna spread onto him, isn't it? Isn't it? No? Okay, I guess it doesn't. Shoot. Well, but either way, I mean, Buriram's still looking fantastic. But you know, as you said, MCG, Summer, 4 AM could still do a lot of damage to these boys if they're not ready for that push.
Kematian bro. Dia tahu ada 4AM
Summer
ya?
just
Oh,
is a
4AM
giant
naik
pain
mobil.
in the butt right here.
They could really do with removing him. Then they could at least take a little bit of a maybe slightly more
Kematian
comfortable
DA.
fight towards 4
Di-spray
AM,
4
get
orang.
themselves situated, but
Wih, baginya
right,
berani
PA
banget,
moving.
Cuk.
PA though are moving on the send. Now at the moment, Linchen's actually not far from this. M200 just going to keep peppering
Ui.
away. And Linchen's going to get really close to the foot of that hill, and they're going to send over potentially another
bom,
player,
bom,
I'm
bom, bom.
sure, to back him
There it
up.
is.
Maybe help him out a bit here. Great nade could be doing some serious work.
Wah,
Flash, he just
mati.
eats the flash off the back of it, but there's that nade. Metralius, he's going to be the victim of it. Mings is there as well. You got everyone eyeing this up. This is their next big fight. That is some
Gila Mings, Cuk.
stunning shots from Mings. That is
Weh,
perfect
hancur.
play with the
Alah.
SKS.
Wes,
Bye-bye,
masih
DA.
ada
Another
Rengel berarti.
opportunity wasted here.
Wow.
4AM masih hidup, Jek.
That was just really
Cuma
really
2.
well played by team.
Alah,
DA,
koneksinya.
They made the decision
Alah,
to
hilang
not try to
satu
push
kan.
into the south, which I get that. That's fine. But they knew Tiamba was
Oh,
in that
dibakar
compound.
Cenora.
They
No,
tried to make
dibakar
the
lagi.
push up on the hill.
Alah.
And to be fair, if Linchin
Alah.
hadn't been there, DA might be able to hold him off right there. But the fact that Linchin
Ih,
was
masih
sent
megang
early
money lagi
was
loh dia.
really well played by Tiamba, and they end up cleaning that up really, really quickly. And Summer is still alive.
Oh, why did... Ooh, Summer. The mollies, I'm seeing everything being put towards it. They really can't get him out of this position. Edie's kind of in a bad spot too. Not doing so well either. We're gonna get down towards our kind of like, you know, 7 pretty soon. There's some snakes out here that are probably gonna get pushed aside. Tiamba in a little bit of a spot of bother. They didn't take over that road that DA were on fast enough. It feels like they got caught on the run up. Fergus, I mean, the positioning is fantastic.
Fergus, I was watching the map. Fergus crashed into that blind and took out 2 of Tiamba. The rest of DXG took so long to get over here and provide him support. I think they just assumed he was dead. And, you know, he finally gets over there. They finally come over there, and now it's a little bit too late. As Longk is just going to, I think, die to blue here. Yep, there he goes. And now Tiamba should be able to get these reses back. Also, Tiamba kind of avoiding potential disaster there.
Okay, with that update again, further kind of, you know, the Western pushing now a little bit further towards the east. These teams are shuffling back and forth. It's thinning the herd. We're down to 6 teams, 14 players, so of course some suffering more than others. Now infantry finally kind of shuffling away from their compound. They're gonna have to start moving their way forward. You can see a couple of them. You know, Bolyang is already starting to move, starting to get that next step building. But they're in a great position. Sonics, if they had all their players, would be in a fantastic spot. Sadly, they are down to 1. But again, Tiamba did get, what, 3 players back up? So they're in not a terrible spot here.
You know, it's not the worst, and they can still kind of play on this ridge line. If they can take out 4 AM, or if they can take out really anybody. I mean, the biggest threat in the lobby right now are these boys' infantry. I mean, 0 kills so far, but that's just because they've had a compound. We've seen what infantry can do. You know, we're not that far removed from Miramar. So, you know, they've got 4 up. They've got good position. They've got the high ground. They've just got to make sure that they don't lose anybody to any of these snakes. They've got to play disciplined, got to play smart.
For now, lines of the battlefield are relatively drawn. I'm going to keep my eyes on Mime because he will have to move forward, which could open him up to potentially infantry on the other side. But infantry again, I don't know if they've cleared meta yet, or if they've checked on meta, because they seem to be going a little bit unperturbed by this. The north side will of course be Tiamba, and again they have the safety of the hill, but it's also a bit of a downside. You don't get to see so much as to what's going on. They're playing a little bit in the blind, but they have a lot of the circle to play with. I want to keep my eyes on when infantry kind of realize that meta might be close by, if they actually clear where they're currently playing, and then meta simply have, you know, lesser numbers to work with. Yeah, there's that nade. That could be a bit of damage coming through. Molly's coming out. One of them's made a bit of a mad dash for it, but maybe just to not be killed in, you know, a quick fashion more than anything. And there goes Wick 2D or Wicked, whichever you want to try to go for. But Sparking's still alive, but as I said, 1 player to take on the 4 of infantry right here is a hard battle to be won.
And actually, Buriram kind of striking at the worst moment there for infantry. And it's actually going to keep Sparking alive for the time being. I should be able to get this res off on 9, but this is what you're kind of worried about as far as infantry is concerned. You don't want to get bit in the back by any of these snakes, these solos, these duos. They try to take care of meta, but Buriram takes that as an opportunity, and now this is going to open up 4 AM to try to push in, because they've got to go somewhere. They're going to most likely have to go south, and right now Buriram is between them and making it to this late game circle.
Yeah, Buriram are a problem to be dealt with. Again, man, these shots coming out today, people have been putting in the work. So sharp. You can't peek for a second. Alright, so the needs to follow. I like that, trying to get that flush while they can. I'd use that as an opportunity to springboard forward, but I guess it's not an ideal position. They want to move further in, and infantry just sent a couple of shots through, which is a bit of a scary prospect now that they're being kind of kept a little humbled in this. And there we go. Sparking does get found in the end, but the trade did come out, and that's but that's fine. Only good for 1, but infantry getting just kind of felt out by everyone in the lobby at the moment, all testing the kind of waters, but they are now operating with 2 knocks. But Lou, again, this guy, he is having a moment. Now God Meow still alive.
Lu
He was on a
again.
bit of a nuisance being a
Lu
problem for
lagi
the others. He was
katanya.
getting some shots across the field.
Boom.
You can see
Di bawah
infantry getting their
badannya
plays back up.
deh.
Blue's finally been dealt with. Not
Wah mati,
flushed,
mati. Ih,
but for now,
coba
not
bom.
quite as scary and such an intimidating prospect. And Tiamba, good
Wah,
time to move up
lagi
on this.
loh.
You want to clear the field.
Mati.
From Lin Shun there. That was arced on the hillside from way downtown and managed to put it right in
Tian kayaknya. Lu lihat Lurena nih, kaget dia nih. Ada Lurena.
We're down to just the 3. Infantry does manage
Tian
to keep
nih.
all 4 up despite
Bro apa
Live's
bro?
best efforts. They're able to get both of those reses back up. And
Lu
now
drop
they're
molly cu.
just gonna try to snake it out. They want infantry and Tiamba to fight here, and they want to stay alive to try to third party. That is their only win condition.
Tian cu. Tuh Nyuk, pencet B Nyuk, single auto Nyuk.
Circle wise, infantry good position. Lorena's off angle. Has he been spotted? I think Longskir's trying to keep a track on it, but they're kind of giving him a little bit more freedom than I like. Lorena is a dangerous player. We've already seen that before. The clutch is coming out, the damage being done. Yeah, spots out 9 for sure, no worries. And now that's an issue for infantry. That's a side that they didn't keep in check, and now that could spiral further away. Already, though, the nade's going to be sent down towards them. Lorena, and a little spot of bother.
Lorena kan beat yang dapat. Nah, BRU lagi kah?
Great
Ya.
timing on the third party. Quick trade out, though. God Meow goes down. That's for infantry. Getting the
Tian,
kill,
Tian.
keeping players up, but for Tiamba, fantastic position.
Tian banget ya sih. Tian banget ya sih. Oh, bro. Oh enggak. Bro udah mati. Wih, wih. Tiamba. Oh, apakah
But
clutch
he's using the
long?
smokes too. He's using the
Buta.
smokes. He's using the cars.
Selama
Using
ya.
the ridgeline. Any little opportunity, anything he can find
Posisi
to
Jek selama
use to his
mulu
advantage.
kalau
Throwing
Lah orang depan muta. Depan muta.
prevent the
Depan
push from
muka.
Tiamba.
Daripada mau demer. Oh, kebakar.
They're right on top of each
Kebakar.
other.
Kalah.
This utility is hitting, unfortunately for Longsker, but he's got the blue right at his back.
Buh.
He's gonna get pushed
Selamanya nggak itu, Dos?
eventually as Mings and Ling
Itu
Shun
Jess dipatahin.
trying to close this one.
Wah.
Push. Oh, dang.
Tian.
Tian, bro.
Misalkan bro chicken, iya cuy, tapi dia kena duluan ya.
And honestly, I'd say you could argue infantry should have had that, but Tiamba's play
Yang chicken yang
proactive
bawah,
towards the
Cuk.
end. Very well played to them, very well done, keeping their composure once again, but also, as I said, they had great positioning. I'd say maybe 2 circles before that kind of petrol station they'd taken over was really valuable. But they played so well. They cleared past 4 a.m. They got past all the threats in the north, worked their way through. Brilliantly done.
You know that gas station is such a 50-50
Kan bener
chance.
kata gue.
It's
Apa?
really,
Bener
really
kata gue
dicey,
Tian nggak?
and either it works out
Dari
in
awal
your
gue ngomong
favor,
Tian
or
do
it just
tadi do,
ends up
iya nggak?
costing you everything. And this time Tiamba, it worked out absolutely in their favor. So they only have to play 3 games, and they qualify. And that is their first Chinese team that we're going to see that makes it onto the weekly final. And again, just heartbreak for infantry as they find themselves in yet another late game and can't pull it.
Alah bro.
They just can't pull it through.
Jipro
I
kuning.
mean, for me, that is all Lorena's deeper angle that came through. That was such a nuisance to deal
Tian
with.
baru 3
Such
game
a
ya?
problem. And infantry seemed so unaware of the possibility of that happening. They just got caught.
Ayo Sonic Doski ayo.
No, that was a
Lolos,
phenomenal play.
Sonic!
And, yeah, you know, I think you hit the nail on the head. They did not expect anybody to sneak up from behind them practically. And, you know, Lorena gets up there, and to his credit, once he got there, he made it count. He hit his shots, did as much damage as he could before going down, and that basically threw infantry for a loop. I mean, you could see they were just... they had no idea what to do there for a second. I mean, they were able to focus down Buriram and clean that up, but by that point, it was just too late. Tiamba had the advantage, and they just took it home.
Very well played out game there. Considering, I don't think we would have said at the start, you know, when we saw that circle hit, that Tiamba were necessarily one of the teams in the prime position either. You know, we had DA up there, 4am up there,
Bentar, bro,
a
WC,
couple
bro.
of others who were kind of set for success. They had the easiest start to it on the circle, but no, Tiamba did very
Kan
well.
lagi mau di
Fight their way in,
komentar tor.
and look composed in this. Keep that kind of good look going on. Buriram, dangerous as ever, but not converting towards the end. a couple of these teams looking more and more dangerous, but there's only so many spots left now to make it through to that weekend stage.
It just feels like Bury Robin Infantry. It feels like it's got to happen. It just absolutely has to happen. They've been playing so damn well, Infantry especially, and finding themselves in all these late games, and it just, for whatever reason, has just not happened yet. And that's, you know, as long as they're able to kind of keep their spirits up, keep themselves, you know, confident and hyped, then I gotta imagine they're due for something to happen here shortly.
It feels that way, but you never know. I mean, these circles have been uncompromising, and it's tough. I mean, the lobbies have been getting brutal. You can see those desperation plays becoming more and more apparent. So again, to the teams out there, it's not easy. The lobby constantly changing, new teams in and out. This is a whole new world for them to play under. I've got to say, if you guys out there at home, you know, checking on the subreddit, checking on, you know, the socials for all these teams, most of them are doing content out in Korea right now. So make sure you go and check out what they're doing. You get to see what it's like for these teams, get a good experience of, you know, how these guys are playing. I loved watching Liquid's one, a couple of the others. There's some brilliant content out there. So have a little glimpse. It's super exciting, but I think that's enough from us. Very briefly, I think the interview may be ready, so let's head over there now.
Pgi.S Weekly Survival
Pgi.S
3주차
Weekly Survivals Week 3 and the winners of our 13th match with Pgi.S. I'm here with player Luron.
루런 선수 나와주세요. 네, 승리 축하드립니다.
Congratulations.
와, 루런 선수에게 정말 수고했다는 말을 전하고 싶은데요. 어제
really
혼자 남아서
wanna
2위를 기록한
tell
바가
you guys
있고
that you
또
did a really
우리
great
Pgi.S
job, and even
스포츠가
yesterday
무려
you
14경기 만에 첫 치킨입니다. 정말
you were
축하드립니다.
one of the
그동안
last
다른
players
팀
that were left in a few
지켜보면서
games.
불안했을 것도 같은데 서로 어떤 이야기들이 오갔을까요?
I'm sure that you guys were anticipating this win a lot. What kind of conversations did you guys have amongst yourselves?
然后你们我想问一下，你和你的队员们都说谈了些什么？
今天很激动吧，终于把握住了这次机会进了周决。
지금 굉장히 흥분되는 상태고요. 오늘은
We are
기회를 잘
definitely
잡아서
really excited, and I think
진출하게 되어서 굉장히 기쁩니다.
I think we really grabbed a good opportunity today to make it to the weekly finals.
Pgi.S 상징이라고 해도 과언이 아닐 텐데요. 그동안
Pgi.S Sports, you guys are
서바이벌을 좀
definitely known
어떠셨어요?
to have a really high kill point. How was the new chicken roll that was applied to the survivals?
非常高。你们觉得吃鸡赛的规则对于你们来说怎么样？
这个赛制对我们太友好了。
서바이브 치킨 룰도 저희한테는 굉장히 괜찮다고 생각합니다.
The chicken rule
그리고
was
Pgi.S 스포츠가
not a bad rule for us to adapt to.
또 중국팀 중에서도 이번에 첫 주자로 파이널을 직행하게 되셨는데
You guys are the first team from the Chinese region to make it to the weekly finals this week, and I believe that this is your first weekly final. How are you guys going to prepare for that?
周决赛怎么打？
延续我们一贯的打法，稳扎稳打呗，保16争15。
저희는 지금과 했던 것 같이
Dia Tianben di
동일한
ruang
전술로
We
tersendiri
will
ya?
play with the consistent
Kenapa ini?
strategy that we've been playing
Lockdown?
until now.
만나고 싶은 팀이 있다면 어떤 팀이 있을까요?
Is there a team
Nah,
that you
Lockdown.
specifically would like to play
在周决赛
against in the
最
weekly
想看到
finals?
的战队是哪一个战队？
希望跟根基的薛老师交一下手。
可以拜托你用英文战队名说一下吗？
Halo bro.
真纪。
Jekzy is definitely a
Emang ya?
team.
Oh si Ado Fauzian nih.
네, 파이널에서의 활약 기대해 보도록 하겠습니다.
We're looking
루런 선수
forward to
인터뷰
seeing you in the
감사드립니다.
weekly finals. Thank you for your interview.
네, 이렇게 해서 TM바 e스포츠의 루런 선수와 함께 인터뷰 나눠봤습니다. 이제 파이널로 가는 티켓은 단 3장이 남아있는데요. 과연...
Welcome back. Tianba advances to the left side. It only takes 3 games, and they secure their spot in the first weekly final for them, which is a bit of a shock as they have managed to finish top 5 in every PCS Asia event that has happened this year. They were a team that a lot expected big things out of and have been surprisingly unrepresented in the weekly final. So hopefully this will be the beginning of a rise to dominance for a team that has been nothing less than consistent. in their scene. Let's take a look at the highlights as Godspeed starts us off on the journey.
Wih, buffering woi. Woi, buffering. GG. Sabar.
Lights. Dude, this actually was so sad.
Yeah.
Buyu, I mean,
Buffering
Gems
loh.
just didn't see him, and oh man, that's
Nah, dah.
that's really unfortunate.
Bola. Fix ada sesuatu. Coba dari Morbid.
A lot of these fights, I mean, this push onto GA was like such a fantastic setup for Tiamba. Obviously, you can see here Mings just
Hancur kalau dari ini ya.
back down from the gas.
Refresh. Walah. Buffering loh. Apa ya?
Cracked out of his mind, but there was also a lot of fights. It was kind of Sonic that cleaned up the South a little. Cornered infantry in the south side of the circle and
Fix ini ada sesuatu nih.
So it was just honestly a really well played game by Tiamba, a team we were just talking about being really disappointing up to this point. This being, as Poro mentioned, it their first weekly finals. That was the first time they've won a dinner, and it took them only 3 games.
I watched that final play there. Great play by Lorena, and I got to be honest, Hypok answer this for me. What grip are they putting on their gun? Because I put the vert grip on there, and I
Mine don't do that. Mine don't do that.
Don't do that at all. That's shocking. As we break down the action from that game, let's take a look at the match results. Tiamba takes
Ini bisa. Lah. 80 loh.
Final. They come through in only 3 games.
Nggak jelas
and
loh,
they do
80 loh.
it by taking a bit of a risk. So let's break down a lot of the way that they played that game. First and foremost, the first circle was pretty chill, localized right in the middle of the map.
Ini buram
I
ya?
love it. It's a nice change of pace.
720
And
ya?
then it sets up on that road to Azahar, which is basically like the Razak River, right? Same idea, this terrible cross. And Tiamba takes the gas station. When you guys saw that initial grab, was that the right call? Tell me about it.
Yeah, I actually think it's arguably
Alas ya, boy.
worse than the because at least with Razak you can somewhat cross that giant ravine that road sits in between for El
Buffering
Azahar.
loh.
It's brutal. If it shifts north or south and you are on the opposite side when that shift is, you basically can kiss your hopes of making it across goodbye, especially if there's teams that are already set up. But I really love the fact that Tiamba took that early and they hedged their bet even on the fact that if the circle had posted south, even more south than they were in, they still had control of the only cover facing that north
Akmal juga bisa kah?
ridge that they wanted to climb up. And because of that, as Pac said and pointed out, they were able to very cleanly get DA out of the way. They were then able to backfill, take over that position, spread themselves throughout the circle, and take the game. And I think decisions like that are what we've been missing from Tiamba so far.
It was also that transition, right, Hypok? I think that there's sometimes temptation when you've been in a spot like the gas station to play it a little bit slower to stay grouped up. The second they took that ridge, they just
Wah, nge-lag
umbrellaed
ini.
out.
Pantas DC dah YouTube-nya.
Well, I think as well, and again, you got to consider all the stuff that happens off camera, right? They remained incredibly active throughout the mid game, and creating that pressure, and potentially forcing DA into that spot. Sometimes there's an opportunity for that team that where we have this kind of scenario where it does split across the road, and you've got to gamble either side. But yeah, able to create that pressure, maybe put DA into a spot that they weren't intending to pull up onto. Like I said, the setup was fantastic. If you are going to make a play for either that compound that's a little further west or the gas station, you have to keep pressuring these teams that come in. You can't let them set up in front of you for free.
Yep, it was a beautiful game, and honestly, that entire game was sort of the story of Tiamba and how they got to that win as the circles and the rotations. It was very cleanly done. That said, guys, we do have a few messages for you to check out. And as soon as we're back, we'll be ready to jump into game number 3 of 5. So only 3 spots left in the weekly final. Who will claim them? We'll find out in just a few minutes.
Off stream dulu kali ya. Lanjut nanti lah. Kayak buffering dan ternyata lagi nge-lag lah. Lah. Nyoba lagi nanti lanjut lah. Thank you yang udah nonton.